All right, so we're live. Yep, we are live. Just need to rig up the other audio version. So these microphones are the YouTube version. This microphone is the audio version.
Okay.
What you call it? Let's close that. Open it again. Bear with us. I don't know if anybody's. Usually, I think it says on there if there's eyeballs on us or
people
not.
watching. Yeah.
Well, this impeachment thing's probably not.
Right.
We're all old now, so everybody's glued to
the TV,
the
seeing
news
what happened.
constantly. Right.
So everybody's itching to get on Facebook and blow it up.
I know. That's the one I don't understand. Like, I know there's a certain amount of like gloating that has to go on.
Oh, of course.
All right, so we're live, and I've got Shawn Figura here, and tried to get you on for a while just because the couple times that we've run across each other and stuff like that, it's good conversation anyway.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, always.
We always interact on Facebook stuff, and just because I goof on you about the conspiracy theory stuff.
It's okay. I can take it usually.
No, which is fine. I'm never. There's never anything that I'm doing as far as that goes that is like I'm never serious. I'm never like aggravated with anyone or like that. Like
right.
There's times where I was talking to you about it before the podcast. Like I like the conspiracy theory stuff because make you think, right?
Right.
But then I also get a little aggravated with it because nowadays I see conspiracy theories that pop up that are either politically motivated. You want to have George Bush be somebody that knew something about 9/11 happening or something like that.
Right.
Which, I'll be honest. I was no big fan of George W. Bush. I voted for him the first time out, but I was still not a fan. And the reason I wasn't
lesser of two evils.
Well, no, I tell you what. The first time out, I liked him. Like I was like, oh man, the things that he's saying, I kind of like what he's saying.
Sure.
But I got paralyzed is what happened. And his second term, in his first term, he stopped all of the federal funding for stem cell research. And I'm like, no, yeah. dude.
I was not cool with that either.
I'm totally depending on this. Yeah. Don't do that. Like that's not good.
It's my only hope right now.
Right. Like, yeah, I'm right. I'm totally hoping that this goes on. If someone's watching our stream, I can kind of see some like the sound looks like it's all right and everything else. But if anything's up with it, please, by all means, I'll open a tab and have Facebook open and then let me know. Because I did Keith Benning's live, but we did it at like 10 in the morning.
Yeah, okay.
So nobody was watching that. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to try it out.
It's hard at work.
Yeah, right. I just want to try it out and see what, how it worked out and everything else. But anyways, let me see if it's even on there. Okay, yeah, there it is. All right, so okay, some people are at least sharing it also, so that's good too. Cool. We'll get some things going on, but just comment on social media. I've got a tab open with it there, and let me know if something's not coming across, or if I look at it and someone's got a comment or something. I have the ability to take call-ins, but wasn't really going to do that.
Right.
But anyway, so the other thing that I want to talk to you about was I absolutely love to cook out. Summertime. I mean, all the way until it's like 10 degrees outside. I love to cook outside. The only thing that was at this place that was any good at all was the barbecue pit that's outside. Nice. So the rest of the place, it was
I haven't seen outside. Junk. So is it like a brick deal or
something?
Like,
it's a whole big pit. Like awesome. It's it got countertops. It's got a burner on the side. I think it's got a setup for it's a Gen Air. It's like a big stainless steel jobber.
Yeah.
But, hey, do me a favor. Can you grab that tray right there and just pull it towards us about 6 inches? Just pull it in so we get a little bit closer to us. A little
tighter shot.
Yeah, because we don't.
How we look?
A little more if you got it. That'll work. I think if you get back in your spot there, I think we'll both be seen.
Like that one?
Yeah, we're good. So anyways, so I like to cook out. And I mean, some of the stuff that it's amazing to me that you got an oven that's got like all the temperature settings. You can do anything you want with it. It's really controlled. That grill is pretty much just whatever. I doubt the thermostat on my grill is any good at all. But if I put a
lot of them are pretty much 10, 15 degrees off. Maybe.
Yeah, right. But if I throw a roast out there and just kind of keep an eye on it, so it's like, yeah, it's getting a nice color on the outside and everything else, I'll put a pork roast out there and it'll be to die for.
Right.
On the grill.
So much different than cooking inside.
Cooking inside, right. And then I know absolutely nothing about the smoker situation. Nothing. And then what's the other thing? That there's that ceramic egg thing that's out there.
That I've never used.
I know that's
I've taken a look at them. It's not something I would spend that kind of money on. First of all, it's just expensive. It's a small cooking surface, so you're not doing a terrible lot. And if it was, I don't see spending that kind of money for me. What I like to do for just my home cooking,
sure,
I don't have that kind of money to throw around.
Sure, and I guess it's from what I understand of it. What I understand of it is it's consistent heat.
It's heat retention. It's real whatever
thick ceramic,
2-inch thick
right,
ceramic or whatever.
Right,
so yeah, you're certainly going to use a lot less fuel to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Now I had a guy on Kwame on the podcast, and another friend of ours between me and Kwame. He told him to put apple cider vinegar in a spray bottle.
Yep. And
I meant to ask Kwame why, but why?
I like to use apple cider vinegar. It adds a tang and it keeps a decent flavor. I mix apple cider vinegar and apple cider. So the apple cider adds, a bit more sweet. So you don't end up with too much tang.
Okay. It doesn't have anything to do with it not sticking to the or anything
if
like
it
that?
Does, it's not something I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all
I don't have any idea. And I meant to Google it.
It keeps it moist. You don't want the outside of your meat drying all the way out.
Okay.
And, so typically with a setup like that, you are running with like a pan of water or something in the bottom of a grill like that. And you're still going to have to put some moisture up on the meat.
So you put a pan of water in the grill?
Sure.
And that just keeps...
You can put your pan right up underneath it, put a few inches of water in there. Your juices are going to drip down right into the pan.
Okay.
And that moisture is going to continually evaporate into the grill and keep moist there. So you're not just...
Okay. Drying it out.
Jerky.
Right. Well, I do like some jerky.
Right.
I mean, that's
you don't want to do that with a 5-pound pork roast.
Yeah, right. But that is definitely something that I like to take. Like if I get road snacks, jerky's for sure something I'm getting.
You got your protein, you got your salt,
Right. It's terrible for you, I'm sure. But and then guys get venison jerky and all that kind of stuff. And so I grew up, my dad was a butcher. And we always had terrific.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. 34 years, Dominic's.
Nice.
So we always had tons of
good meat in the house.
Good meat in the house. You know what was really cool when I was younger and they stopped doing it, they used to get to take home like all the stuff that went out of code.
Right.
So my dad would
end of date.
Yeah, he would literally come home with egg boxes, like these huge boxes full of ice cream.
Crazy.
Oh my God. It was just ice cream. Like there's anything that was out of code. And it was like just out of code. So you can't sell it. No. You know it's still good. It's frozen, for God's sake. So yeah, no, we had oh my God, I'm surprised we weren't all like 600 pounds.
Right.
but yeah, so I mean we always did a lot of cooking out, but never smoked anything. But the things that I've eaten that were smoked, oh man,
it's just amazing.
Good.
I mean,
the best thing was salmon, smoked salmon.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Not a whole lot, but I've done it a few times. And
now you do
very glorious.
You're doing you do some parties and stuff. I saw you got like the trailer thing, right? With
well, it's not on a trailer, but the guy who built it for me, he wanted me to make it into a trailer. I told him my wallet doesn't allow me to live that kind of life. Right. I wish I could spend the other $1,500 to have it on wheels and whatnot, but I just really wanted to have that deal because I was getting into it and I was having more and more people hit me up wanting to do stuff for them that my little regular char griller offset smoker was not enough room to do because that's how I started doing this for other people. I was making my dinner, and next thing I know, I got somebody say, "Hey, if I give you a piece of meat, will you cook it for me?" Yeah, sure.
Sure. So now, how long does it take? When someone brings you a big brisket, you gotta stick
everything's different, man. It depends on your piece of meat, so and the type of meat. So and a lot of people say that briskets take a really long time, but maybe it's just my cooker. But if I'm cooking pork shoulders, say 8 to 10 pound pork shoulders alongside 15 pound, 16 pound brisket, I've had the briskets finished like 3-4 hours sooner than
everything on the grill cooks way faster than. I mean, I'm so surprised by stuff. The rule of thumb, like when I cooked it in the oven, was like a half an hour per pound. Was always what I thought it was supposed to be. And I mean, I got a really nice meat thermometer where it's like digital. You stick it in.
Set it.
Yeah. You
set it when it tells you it hits.
Oh no! This is like it's plastic, so you don't leave it in there.
Okay.
So you just come to it, and it's battery and
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like stick it in there, and like thermal. You can find the spot that's the coolest in there and make sure that's the spot that. And I'm always like 10 degrees under what it says, and then take it out and let it sit and do its thing. But so I mean, I just love to cook like that. And then I'd like to learn. I know there's tricks. Like I'm sure that there's things that you can do that would make your outdoor cooking way better than what's done.
Oh, sure. I mean, you can always keep. There's a million places to look. Podcasts, YouTube, anything. Facebook groups can be helpful. You join a good one where it isn't just a bunch of people beating up on each other.
Yeah.
Because their way is better.
Right.
Why you do that?
Sure.
But I mean, I haven't been at this terribly long, but I still learn stuff. I still get taught stuff.
Sure.
But the basics are all there. I run what we call a stick burner. So it's actual wood or charcoal. I typically, if I'm using my big cooker, then I'm running almost all the time all wood. It's got a propane start, so I can get everything rolling that way. I don't have to use charcoal to get anything rolling and then start putting logs on. And cherry wood's my favorite. Just mainly because it's readily available in this area. Not like you're getting hickory easy, if you're in Texas.
Right. Or, so it just adds the flavor, applewood, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right? Around here, cherry wood, applewood, and I'm sorry, hickory, Texas would be like mesquite. Yeah. And I'm finding that easily around here, but there aren't any mesquite trees.
Right.
But like shagbark hickory is common around here, so you can find that.
Yeah, now I wanted to hook you up with, like I said, well, you're friends with him too, is Eric Solner, and I wanted to do it would have to be a small one because I mean, he's a massage therapist guy, and I figured a party where you had killer food, some drinks.
We already did that.
Oh, did you do it? Did you get it done?
Yeah, he came. This was before.
Before I said anything. Okay,
like 2 years ago or something like that. A year, like 2 years ago.
I think that's a business model.
He came over. I was cooking. He had talked about a few times wanting to catch me while I was cooking, just to see the whole operation and what I do.
Yeah,
and he ended up coming out and hanging out with me and Sonia, and turns out Sonia actually knew who he was from back in the day.
Okay.
Through his brother Ray.
Yeah, sure.
I was friends with Bob Santoro.
Yeah,
they hung out quite a bit.
Okay.
So Sonia and him were dating back then.
Sure. Okay.
So anyway, he came out and we just were all hanging out and whatnot. And I don't know, somewhere about 11 o'clock, I was like, man, I'm back starting to bother me and whatnot. I'm like, you got your massage table on you, do you? He's like, actually, I do.
Yeah, right.
So he busts out the massage table. Here it is, like 11:30 at night. I got a ton of meat on the cooker.
Yeah.
We've just been hanging out drinking, and now I'm getting a massage in the middle of my driveway.
Yeah, great.
11 o'clock at night under the stars. It was pretty cool. And he hung out with me. Like, he was a trooper. He hung out. He probably came over about 8 o'clock or something like that in the evening, and he didn't leave till like 11:30 the next day.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
he really hung in there till the end.
No. I just think that there should be some money that could be made, for both of you as far as that goes. Like, I mean, if you're catering something essentially, and then he's providing massages, that could, should be something. And like, he said where he worked was at Massage Envy. like they take such a big cut of what he gets.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure.
You know,
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's, you know, like an auto mechanic. You know, they're charging $120 an hour, and the dude actually doing the work is making, you know, 20% of that.
Right. So he's getting murdered. I mean, I'd like to, you know, see the guy make some money. But anyways, and then the other thing that, you know, besides the smoker stuff and everything else, so I mean, your advice would be like go buy a smoker and then just start fucking around with it. Like,
whatever you really think you want to do. I mean, you if you think you want to hang around and tend to fire every 20 minutes, buy a stick burner.
Okay.
If you want that kind of hands-on,
I'm
not doing anything today.
You can put that wood in the other one too, right, to get the flavor?
Well, like the electric ones and whatnot, or your pellet feed, or they have the pucks, like they're chunks of wood all pressed together in the different types of wood, and it feeds pucks in. Yeah, you know, either or. Going. Those are ones, you know, if you want to run around here and do other things, you can set that up. Excuse me, let it roll.
Yeah.
And, you know, check on it every great once in a while. Just make sure everything's cool and copacetic. You know, spray your meat down, whatever.
Yeah.
Get some
so I like
it or something.
I think I like to like let it do its thing and like on its own, because like the slow cooker or crock pot, I love that thing.
Right.
Oh my God. I can make tacos that are like insane out of that slow. I put a skirt steak in there and then season it and then let that thing cook for like 8 hours. It just falls apart, and then it's taco meat, and it's oh my God, I mean, the skirt steak would taste like shit if you just cooked the skirt steak.
Skirt steak is a piece of meat that you cook hot and quick, so you
like
can leave your
right.
So your inside is not totally cooked through.
Sure,
you know what I mean, like
right. when I put it in a slow cooker, it ends up just being fibers. You know, what I mean? It just falls apart. So I like that, and I like the fact that I am super busy. I'm ludicrously busy all the time. I like that I can just throw it in there.
Then an electric, an electric, pellet feed would be probably the way to go for you.
Yeah,
then you can just load it up, put your meat on there, go about your business, come check on it here and again.
And that'd be a propane one. I just put a tank on.
No, they're usually electric.
Yeah. Oh, just electric.
Yeah, if they make a propane one, I don't know, but I think they're all generally electric.
Oh, okay, all right.
So you'd have
plug it in and go.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this summer we're finally getting things done around here where everything's. This place was. I mean, I moved in here. It was plywood floors. I had no kitchen. It was like just shelving units and stuff were sitting in there with a microwave on there for a couple months until we got everything together. And now it's it's fully done.
It's coming along.
Right. And
I see you still got some things you're doing here.
Yeah. There's
always work in progress.
Always. I mean, I think I'm gonna go brown with this. This is all just prime trim. I'm gonna go brown with it. But yeah, the tank got in about a year ago, and it's been fun. The decks and stuff around. But this summer I want to start having some people out, and like I've got a set up for a TV outside and stuff. We'll do some cool. Movie night and stuff like that out there. And I like to cook something, obviously, too. So it's nice. And then we built a deck that goes out on the water.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, right. So it's real nice to sit out there and have food. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's that I put 300 pounds of minnows in the lake, and we don't see any mosquitoes. I'm sure that the mosquitoes are getting eaten. The larvae are getting eaten on the lake. And the mosquitoes can't do their thing if there's even a ripple of, anything on the water. It's got to be still. But
I didn't know that it had to be like very still.
Oh, it has to be.
I knew they like dead water.
Yeah, dead still. Like it can't, if there's any ripple on it at all, they can't. Like they do something like where they kind of like balance on it. If it's rippling, they can't do it. So if you've like just open basin water where it's where there's wind all the time, you don't get mosquitoes. But so we don't. I mean, it's amazing to me that we're on the water. I'll have 8 or 9 people out there eating, and nobody's being. Awesome. Some people start to like. I don't know. I think they're so used to there being bugs that they start thinking that there is. And I'm like, hey, show me a mosquito, because I am out here all the time and I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Unless we get crazy rain for a crazy amount of time. But yeah. So I mean, I like to spend as much time outside as possible. And
everybody always likes food.
Yeah, and food, right, for sure. But the other stuff was the conspiracy stuff. So I did some looking, and I mean, I had a guy when I first started the podcast. I the guy came out and he was a wheelchair tech, and the wheelchair tech thing is a crazy thing to begin with. Like I asked the guy, I go, so what's the training? Like this guy comes out with a wrench and tools and everything else, and he, fixes the wheelchair, whatever he does to the thing, he modifies it, whatever he's got to do. They deliver brand new equipment. If there's a piece of equipment that wears out, he fixes it.
Right.
He shadows another guy for 1 week, and then he's on his own. Like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Crash course.
Right. So, but we got to talking, which is what I do all the time, is talking. And he was a flat earther.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, straight up. And I was like, oh my God, I was so thrilled. I think the guy was here for like 2 hours, and like an hour and a half it was like
Let's talking about that.
And I'm like, all right, explain it. And I did not realize how much was involved in the flat earth thing. I did not realize, because I guess I never thought about it long enough, but you need to have more to it because it doesn't make any fucking sense to begin with.
Right.
So like the ice wall, like that the whole planet is surrounded by an ice wall.
I've seen this, and I've seen where they claim
300 feet high, and
that these videos were supposedly, military test rockets, whatever the hell it is, or they've got a camera on the nose, GoPro type deal,
right.
And then all of a sudden it just stops going. They show it launch and show it up into space, and
right.
then all of a sudden it seems like it just stops.
This guy was explaining a whole thing where a general from the U.S. after World War II, like took an expedition to Antarctica, and they found the ice wall, and like the government won't, like it's always a government, cover up or whatever, but the government will not let you go further in. Like they'll let you onto Antarctica, but not any further in. And like, that's pretty much what it is. We're like in this, there's a bunch of land masses inside of like, just like the map looks,
right.
And then around it, there's a 300-foot ice wall all the way around it. And then the earth is flat after. I don't know how that works, but
yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I don't know if you have Netflix or not, but
I do.
Okay, so did you see there's one that was called like the Curve or something like that.
No.
And it was a documentary on all these flat earthers, and it was crazy. They were so set on the earth being flat. Like there was nothing you could tell them that would make it not. Like they would talk to physicists and stuff like that, and they're like, no, this and that. The one guy spent $300 on this, like it looked like a mag light size deal, and it was a laser. And the way that they set it up so there was a plywood wall with a hole in it, and the light was shining through it. And the hole was like a certain amount of feet up and over. And then they went like 50 yards. They put another thing with a hole in it, the exact same height, and they shine the laser through one hole, through the other hole, and they're both like at 6 feet high, right?
Right.
So then with the curvature of the earth, you're supposed to go a certain distance out
before you start noticing that curve.
Well, because the light will be higher on the wall that they put way out there because the earth goes down. And they put the wall out there, they shine the light on it, and it was exactly where it was supposed to be.
Right.
And these people were like, there must be something wrong with the laser. And I'm like, no, dude, it's
a faulty laser.
Yes,
it's a curving light beam.
Right. Well, it was curving up, right? Because the earth was curving down. So like they were like, no, there must be something with that. And then like they had something else. I can't remember. It was a while ago that we watched it. We watched it in the gym, and it was like impossible to work out because me and my sons were all like just glued to these people that were so set on it.
Right.
And some of them do YouTube channels, and they do all kinds of videos and stuff like that. Like there was a guy with 1,000 flat earth. I don't even know how you do 1,000 flat earth videos.
Right.
But he had like a big following, like all kinds of people watching the flat earth videos. And even if he deep down, like, oh shit. Like they put him in a rocket and he's like, fuck, it's round. He would totally have to come home and be like, nope, I didn't see it. I passed out. He had to say something just to keep his life going.
Yeah.
Because he was doing this thing.
That's what his whole existence is hinged on.
Right. And then you've got there was another documentary with the guy out in like Arizona or New Mexico that was building the rocket.
Right.
And he was it was like on a shoestring budget. And like, I'm like, holy shit. They were literally launching this dude into the sky.
And he had a couple launch dates, I think, if I remember, and it kept getting pushed back, whatever the hell the reason is.
No. So the flat Earth one for me is like so fucking far out there. It's so not even.
And those are I never even entertained nonsense like that. It's just, I mean, if you want to talk about Antarctica, all right, well, do I think there's crap down there? I mean, Hitler went there as well. And basically what he was talking about, we followed him because if he was going there, we want to go see why he's going there.
Sure.
Does he know something we don't know?
Right.
Or, what if he finds something that we need to find first? Which is, I'm sure, all it was about.
Yeah.
And are there things there that
whenever
are going to be unexplainable?
Whenever a conspiracy theory goes to Nazis,
it's been covered in ice, to whatever millions of years.
Yeah. But Nazis always add that extra flavor to a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean?
There's always
makes
that's the best, and more, ooh.
Now, okay, so now that to me is just completely the problem with the flat Earth thing is it's so easily disproven. It's just easily done. These knuckleheads who just bought a $300 laser totally did. My son bought it was only like $70 or something like that, and this laser pointer thing he had was amazing. You could sit here out the back here. The Sportsman's Club is right out the back of my place. You could shine it and you'd see it on the ground in the parking lot that far away.
Oh, absolutely.
It was awesome. It was only like $75 or something that he wasted his money on it. But there was one on there for $2,500 and they said that you could shine it and you would be able to put it on a plane or something crazy. Right. And the one that my son had, the little tiny one, you couldn't put it on your skin because it would burn.
It was
it's so intense
enough to start burning.
Right. So I can't even imagine. That's $2,500. Obviously, you got a damn lightsaber in your hand. You're welding shit. Right. But you wonder what they could do with that now. They could probably get pretty darn crazy with a laser.
That's reasonably priced for a average. Well, not average, a little above average consumer.
Right. So okay. So now some of the ones that are mainstream conspiracy theories, like the Melania Trump has a doppelganger who follows Trump around that's what I saw.
Well, okay, all right. Now, see, I have no idea of this one, but I mean, history does show that we have had situations like that. Almost any world ruler of any importance, and even not that much importance in history, has had lookalikes for sure.
Yeah, right,
and usually
dictators and people who could get assassinated really easy.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say.
There was some Richard Dreyfuss movie where he was a double for a dictator or something like that. It was hilarious. Right, but so okay, but then the other one that I dislike them when they start to get, Melania having a double. There's not a political bias in that because it just could be a world leader type person. A double, I don't want to, go into that parade. So we're going to send a double. So that's not political. That's not that doesn't shine a bad light on anybody. The thing where Michelle Obama has a dick. All right, she doesn't. That's a woman. She's been a woman forever. And ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I don't think that it's taken seriously by people that are,
99% of them are just being asswads.
Right. They're being asswads. And they're also it's trying to be negative towards, the whole Obama thing, which, whatever. Obviously the birther one, that's bullshit too. I mean, a guy somehow went back and faked everything. He was not born in Kenya. He was born in Hawaii.
Right.
And everything else. But people are still holding on to that. I mean, that fucking Louis Gohmert was just on the impeachment inquiry, and he made a mention of presidents that were born in Kenya or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, you're still holding on to that, you fucking hayseed. But so that's nuts. And then the other one so they're funny, and I get it, but I know that there's certain people that are on social media that are posting it to throw political punches. And it's nonsense. Hillary Clinton does not have a, hit list of 70 people. That woman has not killed 70 people. And I mean, the Epstein thing, which that's one of my favorite ones, that there's something there. And if somebody don't fucking figure that out,
it's it's a complete travesty. I mean, you know.
Well, I don't want to talk about that yet, but like Hillary, you know, very powerful people. I'm sure there's dead people in their wake as far as like shit they did. You know, like if you own Apple, which everyone loves their little Apple product, there's piles and piles of dead bodies in Eurasia and China for people that were working in those sweatshops making those things, and they're all dead to make sure these guys got billions of dollars.
Right.
So that's not a conspiracy theory. That's truth. Like those people died. And I mean,
but that's a little bit different scenario as well. I mean, if you're talking like that, those are people that, you know, that did Bill Gates have a personal affiliation with those people? No, they worked in a factory. He didn't know anything.
No. Right. Well, yeah, right.
But
for
having some
Microsoft.
kind of a personal affiliation, you know, how does somebody end up with that many people and all the weird scenarios where all these people end up passing away? And
now, how much did you look into like Hillary, right? That like, okay, so did you ever look into exactly what, because the one guy, what was the one guy that was like found on a park bench and they claimed that he was moved to that bench? Like, and he committed suicide.
That much I never really got that much into it. You know, the little stories pop up and I never read
it's all just
all of those
now,
things.
Though.
It's right. It's something to entertain the thought. And if you do look into it enough to find out if what you're reading here is actually factual, you know, did this person in fact die on a set of railroad tracks, supposedly by suicide, with a gun, but yet there's like whatever shotgun involved, you know.
Well, the claim is that there wasn't enough blood
at the scene,
where the supposed scene, where it was found to be a human being. There was just not enough blood. Like he must have lost like a half a gallon of blood somewhere else, right, and then he was found there, which could very possibly be. And I'm not saying at all that, you know, Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton couldn't be involved in some, you know, foul play to take somebody out. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that she did not kill 70 fucking people. And there's hit lists that they have out there that, you know, she murdered all these people. And then the one that's really gotten political is you'll only see people on the left post pictures of Trump with Epstein. Right. And then you only see people on the right post pictures of Clinton with, and there aren't as many pictures with Clinton with him, but there's, you know, stories that the stories thing. Oh my God. Nowadays, you don't need much to make a conspiracy theory because all you have to do is say something that someone wants to believe.
Sure.
And they're going to believe it. Like 100%. Right. The pizza game.
Now, right. And that's something that I was on. Whatever that was, started to be a big 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or whatever.
The pizza place with the child sex ring in the basement.
Right.
Then the pizza place turned out not to have a basement at all.
Right. Well, but I mean, you know, it's not about the whole thing. If you followed it a little more, the whole thing wasn't just about the pizza place.
Okay.
So it's about everybody that was involved.
Right.
You know, and how they did everything, the terminology they used. So that's what that whole story was about, rather than just the pizza place.
Right. So, you know, but the bigger picture is that all of the powerful people in the country, the super powerful people, they are all pedophiles. That's the thing, right?
I mean, a grand statement would say all, but
a cabal of human traffickers that are in power.
I mean, certainly there's something going on because
I don't doubt that.
Well, look at the numbers. First and foremost, of people that go missing. Where are they going?
I don't know. What are the numbers? Do we know what the numbers are?
I don't know, but there's like
they're staggering. They're like
people are abducted all the time. I mean, Amber Alerts. Constantly, news stories of people who just turned up missing.
Yeah, maybe your wife's a pain in the ass. You figured to go get a pack of cigarettes.
Sure. Okay, so law of statistics say that if 200,000 people go missing a year, children, adults, whatever, a certain percentage is going to be they died in some freak way. Nobody ever found them. Mm-hmm. You know, okay. Others are going to be they were abducted by somebody.
Sure.
You know, and others they just took off.
They took off.
Whatever reason.
OD'd.
They but still, you know, whatever numbers, there's law of statistics. There's going to be some amount of all those possibilities and other possibilities we're not thinking of.
Yeah.
So certainly people are disappearing, and certainly people do things with them. Certainly people are put and forced into lives that they don't want to be a part of.
Right.
So if you're going to pay, to have sex with a kid,
that's some fucked up
shit. I'm
too,
imagining you don't just whip out a $40 and go, hey, get me a little kid.
Right.
It's going to take some money.
Right.
And you don't just like go somewhere.
Do you think that's popular of a thing?
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I worked with a guy who was busted for kiddie porn. All those kids come from somewhere.
Oh, no. I don't know why that's prevalent. Right. And I mean, I understand that it's prevalent, like that there's child molesters. I got that. But like, why would somebody that's super powerful, why would that be an attractive thing for somebody like that? Like, I don't like you.
Why would somebody super powerful want more power?
Oh, because it's power's intoxicating.
Okay. There's a little microcosm of power. You have power over this individual right in front of you.
That makes sense. No, but what blows my mind,
I can control all of these people. I have control of all of these things and businesses and industries. And when I go home at night, I want control over something else. I still want some control.
I hear more.
I still have my sexual desires, and you have to understand the whole mentality of people who like to do stuff like that. And typically, I imagine there's a few ways that somebody ends up enjoying that kind of thing. Maybe it happened to you when you were a kid, or just how people become, sex addicts and porn addicts.
Yeah, right.
It's a very real thing.
Sure, sure.
Looking at Playboys leads to looking at Hustler, leads to looking at Cherry, leads to look at all these, and it gets further.
Guys spend 8 hours a day looking at porn.
You're needing more and more stimulus
Sure.
to get off the way you want to get off.
Right.
So next thing you know, you're into a world that you didn't imagine whatever year, 2, 3, 5 years ago you would ever be. No, I just like, watching porn. Yanking my crank, 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't sleep.
Right.
I ate something, I smoked a cigarette.
Well, see, that's the thing for me. Like, I don't understand.
Some people just, they want to keep delving in and they get sucked in.
I don't get that at all.
Because otherwise, how do you have, there's obviously a need for it. So, you don't get it. I don't get it.
No, I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all.
I mean, I get it.
Sex sex by itself is wonderful.
Understanding human nature.
I don't need to add anything to it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to make, like, if I just have a girl that really likes to have sex with me, I'm really fine with that.
Yeah.
And I don't need it in the butt or anything like that. Like, it's all fine. But when like people want to get into feet and like all of a sudden, like I'm like, dude, what? You're missing the whole point though. The sex is just fine. But I see the other people that do the opposite of what you're saying. Super powerful people who want to be shit on and picked on and treated like shit because they're in charge all the time.
As well.
Yeah, so it's like the opposite situation.
Right, you get that as well. Right. You're going to pay somebody, but again, getting back to that, this is all stuff that you just don't go find a local kiddie porn dealer. It's an underground thing.
Oh yeah, no,
it's not just like. You can go to your buddy like, hey, I need to get some weed. Anybody sells any weed? Yeah, I got a guy. Just go up to your buddy and go, hey, anybody with some kid porn? I'm, dying over here.
Right. Well, so we were out when we were younger, and we used to get in fights and stuff, and put a guy in the hospital, broke his finger, and I mean on purpose, got in the fight and cracked his finger, and they took me away, and they took me away on a Friday night, so I had to spend the whole weekend waiting for Monday morning court. So I'm in the orange jumpsuit. I'm in the thing, and everyone's got a bracelet on, and the bracelets are color coded. So like I got a blue one, or I don't know what I had on at the time, but it was the first time I was in there. So I said to another guy, because it was lunchtime, I'm like, hey man, what's with the bracelets? And he's like, well, that guy over there, he's got a black one on. That's, he killed somebody or some kind of violent crime. You must have done something that was like disturbing the peace or some shit. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, those guys over there with all the pink ones on, there was a whole table of guys that were either caught with child porn or like kiddie molesters. But like, I've watched a couple documentaries on them sick fucks. they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
No.
Most all those think that the kid is totally into it, and they're like showing the kid love and everything else.
It's a twisted thing. I worked with a guy.
It's fucked up.
I knew a guy and worked with him for like almost 15 years, 10 years or something. And I worked side by side with him for a gang of years. So me and him, where I worked in the same department, worked in the same area. We're the only two there. And I knew him forever. Even before that, when I used to go into the same place when I drove a truck, he would load me up. And I would see him a couple times a day usually. And when he got busted afterwards and hearing, story, because his brother worked with us as well.
Yeah.
He was a little higher up in the company. And just hearing him talk about how his brother talked about the situation, you're right. He didn't think he was doing it. He thought it was no big deal. Oh, this is going to all blow over. No, it's not. It's really not going to blow over.
And it shouldn't. You're fucking somebody up really good. And
yeah,
from what I understand of that's a chain too. Like you fuck somebody up and then when they grow up, they fuck somebody up and it just keeps going.
It absolutely does.
But so, I don't want to talk about that too much because it's fucking disgusting. But the Epstein thing is connected to that, right? So yes. I did some look. Have you looked into the Epstein? Through
the years, I've known that this is something that's been talked about.
But just the Epstein case himself, like just him personally, I did some digging.
I didn't. Really.
Oh my gosh! So okay, there's a conspiracy theory out there, and it's only a conspiracy theory because it's it can't be proven or whatever.
Right.
That guy is the whole. Okay, so the whole child trafficking thing or stuff like that, like he did that, and that makes him a fucking low life human being, but he did it for the situation of, so you're a senator, so I get you a child, I make sure I can document that I have that child. Now I have you.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
I would imagine that is part of it. I mean, somebody that twisted to do that, I wouldn't, doubt for a second that once you start getting into that world and realm of people and influence and power, how do you gain an upper hand on somebody like that?
Well, that's the thing with this guy.
That's their perverse,
he's supposed to be a hedge fund manager, but no one knows like where the money's coming from or any of that stuff. Like he's not. No one has their money with this guy. Like no one's
nobody can say, I use him.
I use him to invest. No, but somebody gave him a $7 million penthouse in New York.
Why would you do that?
Who would give some because
if you don't, worse things are going to happen to you than $7 million.
The people that he's connected with, he had some I don't know what the exact number was. It was like 9 or 12 meetings with Bill Gates, and I mean. Bill Gates is a guy who you would not think would be in that world at all.
Right.
He's a philanthropist. I mean, a real legit guy who's like bringing sanitary water to Africa and
you know what? It doesn't matter. They're all walks of life. That guy I worked with, if you'd have listened to him for 10 years I'm just like laying out, that's.
I'm not saying Bill Gates is dirty.
Right, and neither am I. But I'm just saying it's all about putting some other facade out there for people to latch onto and accept you as, because that was this dude's whole MO. And after it all came about, everything started to click. He would sit there and, I can't even watch TV with my kids. Everything is sexual. 2.5 Men was, big at the time. I can't even, it's 6:00 in the evening, 2.5 Men is on, and all these other shows, and literally every other thing is about sex and blah, 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 blah. I can't, and he was always far right wing in his ideals and whatnot. Huge Beatles fan, and he even went as far as to say I don't know anything about computers, this, that, and the other. But everything was a lie, and it was all designed to throw you off, and to completely in his world it was all designed to totally throw you off. But somebody like Bill Gates, they're not. I don't say, I wouldn't say somebody like that is, helping people in Africa because he's trying to throw off the scent of pedophilia. No. But it just, you can't let that,
No, and Epstein might have been there trying to get him.
A good dude, that I knew. And but once I found out, what had happened and what he was arrested for, and all these other little things and conversations we had through the years, they found like way deep hidden in the hard drive, because this was at work when he got busted. So they had to, thank God that this happened, because being low man on the totem pole, if IT or something would have just somehow found that on those computers, I would have been the one to go down.
Oh, geez.
Because I worked with him. The time frame would have been when I was there. They would have, if he would have pointed the finger and been like, no, it was him, everybody would have believed it.
Sure,
because I was some nobody out of whatever, driving a truck.
Yeah.
But his brother was a high up in the company, and he had been there already 20 years or whatever. His brother was there a little bit longer, and they never would have bought it.
Yeah,
and it would have all gotten, unless there was a trace farther back than when I was there. But anyway, this guy, claimed he didn't know crap about computers, but knew how to hide stuff deep in the hard drive of the computer.
Sure,
it takes an IT person to dig it out.
Sure. I'm on a computer all day, all the time, and I wouldn't know how to hide anything in a hard drive. It's always there. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't know. I've definitely gone into my hard drive and found stuff that I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Right.
How that got there, I have no fucking clue.
Right.
But so the Epstein thing, as far as that goes, like there's a theory out there that says he really wasn't a guy that was operating as a human trafficker. He was using human trafficking to ensnare all these powerful people into positions, right? And well, they also say that stuff like the skull and bones stuff and everything else, because they do like all that hazing. What they end up doing is you got all these prominent people who were like, this kid is for sure going to be a senator someday. His father was a senator. His uncle was a senator. He's going to be the next senator from Utah or whatever like that.
Right.
So they get this kid at one of the colleges, the Ivy League ones, and they end up getting him in a situation where he's drunk, he sucks someone's dick or something like that. And they get a photograph of it. Now, when you're that senator, we'll be back.
Yeah.
And if you ever want this picture to get out, then
then
you're going to be in trouble. So, and I mean, that's leverage to get over somebody.
Absolutely.
And that they say that Epstein was a master at that. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. He still dabbled in some really bad stuff, but on social media, it's just become a silly ass thing to post on there constantly. That
I think
we're both positivity and
a lot of right.
Yeah,
a lot of people, they're probably just jumping on and whatever. But I think it may come off as in jest, everything that's being done, like the Christmas one. Is this Christmas order?
Yeah, hang itself, right.
So I think at this point it's like everybody's just kind of going, look, motherfuckers, we know something's up. And you all act like we're fucking stupid and we're supposed to buy this story.
Yes.
That, he's in a federal lockup and the cameras went off.
And he already tried to kill himself. He already tried to kill himself once.
Right.
And then they took him off of suicide watch. Why would you take him off suicide watch? It makes no sense.
So I think the whole point with a lot of people in posting stuff like you see on social media is just like, come on, man. If you guys want to be that ridiculous, we're going to be that fucking ridiculous too.
Yeah, but I see a point to keep it alive because, and I don't buy.
It's a huge thing, I think.
It is a huge thing. I think
I was like,
it's blatant.
For me, when I heard the news that he killed himself, I was like, oh, come on.
You're just waiting for it.
I was like so ready. And I really knew nothing was going to come of it. However it was going to happen, I knew nothing was going to come of it. But I certainly wished, I was like really hopeful that maybe just by some slim chance, we'll at least see who all was involved in this. And I think, my thought process was, and I think a lot of people are going to be extremely surprised by who pops up in all of this.
Well, I think there's,
and not that I had any ideas of who those people might be.
I think there's plenty of people that are more powerful than the people that we see. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's people that are behind all these people that are more powerful than the people that are out there in front. Right. If you had ultimate power, you wouldn't want to be the face of it. You'd want to be, Superman has a disguise for a reason because, he has his, private life and everything else. So But so the Epstein thing is definitely that's a conspiracy theory that I think everybody should be on board with. That look at there's this fucked up thing going on, but I think it has
whatever angle you think it may be.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a child molesting.
This is wrong.
Right? I don't think it's a child.
This is bullshit.
I don't think it's a child molesting thing. I think it's a power and money thing, which is what generally everything's about: power and money.
I can certainly understand that take on it. But you do have to, the perversive power, and then just being perverse, just flat out perverse.
Yeah, there's definitely fucked up people out there for sure. But I think getting someone into a fucked up position would be worth a lot of money.
Where my thinking is okay, with your, this is just what I'm thinking, because I haven't heard a lot of what you're saying. Yeah. As far as this is more about power,
right?
But it absolutely makes
nobody knows where this guy got his money, and they also don't know how much money he has.
Right, but
I mean, the fucking island, though.
If it started with, did it start with money, and the kids were a means to to more money, more power, or was it a kid thing first? And you go,
right,
I know what else I can do with this other than just make a shit ton of money off these fools, is I can get everybody in my pocket.
Well, yeah, right. So,
we'll never know which came first, the chicken or the egg.
But there's also I can't comprehend why someone like the owner of the Patriots, the Kraft guy, right? He gets caught at a fucking rub and tug, which makes no fucking sense. Like, I've never been to one of those places, but I don't imagine that there's a supermodel that's giving you the rub and the tug there, and he's married to a fucking supermodel. Like, he's a troll. He's a fat troll married to someone that's 40 years or 30 years younger than him. She's smoking hot, and he goes to some, it was literally in a strip mall.
And it doesn't make sense, right?
Makes no sense.
But you know what the old saying is? You show me a hot chick, I'll show you somebody who's tired of fucking her.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Or if you're just that perverse, it doesn't matter. You want her, him, them. You want you want all these.
If you're a billionaire, you should get that, is what I'm saying. Like, and you shouldn't be in a strip mall. You should be able to be like, I got a guy who hooks me up with a $4,000 piece of ass whenever the fuck I want it, because $4,000 to a guy that's got a couple $1 billion is not any money.
No.
Nickels.
It's like dropping, a 10 or a 20.
Right. It's nothing.
It's like a $10 blowjob from a hooker.
If you were right. If you were a guy who had that kind of money, and you could, or even the kind of money you have, and you could drop $10 and get a supermodel, you'd be dropping $10 all the time.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense that he would go to a strip mall and do that, which I'm not saying he didn't do it. I just don't understand people. What the fuck are you doing, man?
Right. Exactly. You have the means. Why are you doing that? We see stories like that all the goddamn time. People with money getting caught in dumbass situations.
Right.
People are just stupid.
Yes.
No matter how much money you got and whatever means you have.
Right. So, but those are the conspiracy theories that, as far as the ones that get directed, because there's certain people that we both know on social media, and it's constantly that Hillary Clinton herself. Now, first off, Hillary Clinton doesn't have any fucking reason to kill Epstein. She wasn't involved with the guy at all. She never went to his fucking island. It'd be Bill Clinton that would have done it. Right. Okay. But all the memes are that Hillary did it. How did Hillary become the one out of the two of those people that was such a fucking ninja killer? And secondly, listen, if you want to hire someone to be president,
but I don't think ninja killer, that you're insinuating that connotates that she actually did the deed. I don't think anybody thinks, man, she must be
pretty fucking good at organizing it, because
that's
a lot of dead people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you gotta be pretty good at this. And listen, if you're gonna hire a leader of your country,
I don't know, and maybe some of it is not so much her, but the other people that are tied to her that could be brought down. And if she goes down for this, and I'm going down for this, and I'm not having it, so I might do. I don't know. Maybe there's some of that going on. Or
I don't know.
Maybe all this is just. Maybe all those people in their lives is just absolute coincidence. But again, man,
let's say it's 100% true.
Odds that
let's say it's 100% true. Let's say that she killed 75 people or had 75 people.
Another thing, I think that's a more extravagant number. Anything I've seen is like 30 or something. Still a lot of fucking people.
That's more than like a Navy SEAL usually kills, right? So like, okay, so let's say that she wiped out 38 people, right? Like let's like go because I've seen numbers in the 70s that say that that's her hit list. But let's say that she was successful with never getting caught.
How many? Yeah.
And she whacked out 38 people, right? That had anything to do with her. First off, she would have whacked out Obama because he was in the way of her getting to be president when she was running back, when he in 08. And that didn't happen. Trump didn't get whacked. He became president too. So that's nonsense. But let's say that that's the case. Wouldn't you want that person to be the president of the United States? You would strike fear in every single person she ever went up in.
Nah.
Not
me.
Not her.
Me.
Not her. Because neither of us
well,
like
I mean,
her.
not even anybody like that. I wouldn't.
I'm saying to you, that's somebody who fucking gets shit done.
Well, that's not how I want my leader to get shit done.
I agree, but I'm saying to you, if you were that cold of a killer, that's pretty fucking impressive. Who gets OJ got it? OJ's the only one that we know for sure he got away with it, right? Like that guy killed those people.
Yeah.
And now he's on Twitter. Hello, Twitter world, which is fucking insane too. But all I'm saying is, obviously she's pretty good at that. So like, and I mean, I don't like Hillary. That's not what I'm saying. But if she was that efficient at it, that'd be the best. That'd be the most efficient leader we ever had. And we've had leaders that were Kennedy got killed.
Right.
So who killed Kennedy?
I have no freaking clue.
No,
that one's
I
one.
think I got a theory.
You know
what?
There's just
the CIA killed Kennedy.
I mean, if anything, the mob. I don't believe.
In cahoots with the mob. Yep.
Well, yeah, you certainly have to have somebody on the ground who can make things happen. You need guys that can make things happen. And you got.
How easy would that be if you're a CIA person?
What's that?
How easy would that be? If you're a CIA agent, you could, or an FBI agent, you could totally get mob guys that you're like, I got you.
Right.
I got you on this.
Right.
Set up this to go whack this and then everything else. I mean, the Kennedy thing's fucked up because the guy who supposedly killed Kennedy gets killed right away. And then the guy who kills him dies.
Convenient. Yeah.
So
everything's very convenient.
Right. It's all put away.
Not really ever have an answer to what happened.
Right.
And the timelines of all that whole scenario are just crazy. The odd things and it's like, come on, man.
Moon landing. Did we land on the moon?
I think so. Yeah.
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 Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't disbelieve that. And I think that's, would be very disrespectful to all the astronauts and whatnot that are.
Yeah. They all lied.
Before those.
There's people that are adamant that did not happen.
And after, whatever, man.
What year
I suppose if I bought a nice enough telescope, I could go look and find the fucking flag on the moon.
Yeah. No, can they?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if you could get that close with just a telescope.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. But so
what things
what was that? What year was that? 67? I
think so. Was it 69 or
69? I think maybe. Yeah, the moon landing. Okay. So that is 50 years ago.
Right.
We had the technology to go to the moon, but we can't just go there now.
That's something I really don't get. I don't understand. So
we all carry a super like this computer that I have in my hand used to fit like in my house, like just barely.
my personal thought, and that's one I have looked into a little bit. And if I had to put if I had to hang my hat on a thought of what's going on with that, is something happened up there that they're like, we are not fucking going back. Whether there was, other species from elsewhere that were up there that were just like, what? No. And scared the shit out of everybody. It was like, you go back and tell everybody, don't fucking come back here.
So do you think that that there is?
Because how does NASA just like lose the technology to get to the moon?
They say that they didn't lose it. They actually have like duplicates of every single thing that they sent up there.
I'm sure that.
NASA.
I mean, that's what I mean.
Right.
How do you not have the technology?
Well, I don't know how that works.
How does that not work anymore?
Right, but how does it not work? That like, how is it that we were all on this planet at the same time, and places like Iran still don't know how to make a nuclear bomb? North Korea
secrets are kept good enough.
Yeah, but how is that a secret when we did it 70 years ago and now they still can't do it? Like they have technology that they didn't have.
I don't know all the different things that could go into interfering with, a third world country creating a nuclear. Do you have the money to create the facilities to, can you get uranium? Can you get plutonium? Can you get all these different ingredients? Do you have scientists with the knowledge to fill in the blanks of what general science doesn't tell you about how to create an atom bomb or a nuclear bomb or any other kind of, technology that these other countries don't have, that countries like us and China and Russia and Iran.
Didn't some kid like in the 80s make a nuclear bomb in his fucking garage?
I heard that story. Yeah, that was one. I don't know if it was 80s or whatever, but I remember hearing about that.
That was a true story. The kid made a nuclear bomb in his garage. And like it was a whole big thing where they're chasing him around because he got a nuclear fucking bomb. This kid made a nuclear bomb in his garage, but in Iran, 30 years later, their scientists can't make a nuclear bomb.
I can't answer that, man.
Right. It doesn't make any sense to me, right?
It
makes no sense because if you think about where we were as a country when like the Manhattan Project was going on, when we were.
Okay. So here's a way. Let me get back to what you were bringing up. The kid here in the States has, the ability to, even in the 80s, to find means to find things to make this happen.
Yeah. He was a brilliant kid too.
Right. In Iraq or Iran, is there some, popular science magazine that you can order, little bits of nuclear
enriched uranium or whatever.
Right. Or whatever you would need to create a nuclear reaction, any radioactive. I imagine that you could make something incredibly inefficient, but still works with some kind of radioactive material. I don't know nothing to fuck about it. So, but I imagine, the kid didn't get enriched uranium. He probably used some other kind of,
it's still mind-boggling,
radioactive material to make this thing. Where the guy in Iran, he's the guy in his garage, typical guy in his garage. If anybody,
it's just amazing that a guy's got a lab coat.
To get the stuff.
He's got a lab coat. He lives in Iran, calls himself a scientist, and some kid in the 80s outdid him. As far as that goes, makes no sense to me. But so there's that craziness. What would be some other conspiracy theories that were it's okay. The 9/11 is an inside job. And I know people who are smart who still firmly believe that the frame of that building could not collapse that way from the heat because it just wouldn't make the heat that way or something like that.
Right. And I just saw that on TV the other day, commercial, advertising a show that talks about, demolition, the world of demolition. Mm-hmm. It's a whole reality show following this demolition crew around.
Yeah.
So basically the whole premise of the show, and without ever seeing it, I'm sure, is we have this job to do. We're going to take this building down, and this is incredibly tense, and it's incredibly hard to do, and you really have to know what you're doing, or otherwise things go awry.
Yeah.
And instead of having this freaking whatever hotel, casino, freaking corn silo fall completely straight down in on itself is not as easy as you would think. So I'm sure every show is a cliffhanger all the way to the end. Is this thing, is everything going to blow up like it's supposed to? Yeah. And then is everything going to fall down like it's supposed to? So there's a whole show based on how difficult it is to bring down structures in a straight down pattern or whatever pattern you need to fall perfectly to the left and, to miss between these buildings. But these two huge skyscrapers and an 11-story building or whatever, all collapsed perfectly with no help from anybody, all on their own. You had 3 perfect scenarios.
Right.
Everything happened perfectly. File fucking fire in the building 11 or 7 or whatever the hell building 7 that collapsed.
Oh, you know the Pentagon one or whatever.
A bunch of office fires.
So okay, so
that one come down.
The Pentagon one is the only one that I believe in there. Okay, the rest of it, I think is shit. I think that the military shot down the 4th plane in the field, right?
Yeah.
Like way from the Pentagon's on the way to the White House. I think it was on the way to the White House. They shot it down before it got there. And then they did something, launched some missiles or whatever into the Pentagon, because Rumsfeld, the day before that, announced that they had lost like $2.2 trillion. And supposedly the records were kept right in this section of the Pentagon.
Right. Very convenient.
Very convenient, right. And I mean, people don't do math. $2.2 trillion.
Stupid amounts of money.
It's a fucking tremendous amount of money. It is
of money.
Right. And we lost it somehow. So what you call it, the situation could just be that, that was faked as far as that go. And then the other thing that makes me feel like it's fake is it's too Jesse Smollett. It's too with the whole, all right, let's rock or let's roll or whatever. The stupid thing they came up with, that these heroes did this thing, because they figure people want to believe that, they'll hold on to that, and it's nonsense. Like nobody did any of that shit.
Right.
The jets were scrambled, came out, dropped that plane somewhere. They killed all those people. The government did it, and then they did something else to cover up something else.
Right.
I could believe that part of it. But I don't believe that. I believe that I know that there were reports years beforehand that were brought to Congress, and the CIA and the FBI said, listen, this is a strategic thing that could happen. They could hijack commercial planes that just took off, that were going to go coast to coast.
Well, you have
full of fuel.
Operation Northwoods, which was put forth to President Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And all that shit going down between them and us and Russia as well. And that's out there. I mean, that was where this was, domestic terrorism.
What was that? That was planes they were going to hijack?
Yeah, in that deal, whatever Northwoods Project was what it was called. And that's what was in there, was about doing domestic terrorist acts and blaming it on Cubans or Russians, to build morale.
Well, here's another one. That's similar to that. The Antifa stuff, right? But the Antifa stuff, because they wear the masks and everything else, they say that those people could be just government plants to disrupt a situation and cause a distraction sort of a situation. So, because you can never see who these people are. And then there's people that are out there looking for arrest records, and they don't find the arrest records that they're supposed to be finding.
Right.
So there's a protest, which is a peaceful protest. Guys have signs. They're at the G7. They're like, hey, motherfuckers, you rich bastards are fucking us, because I firmly believe that there's a concerted effort to keep middle-class people fighting with each other.
Well, sure, of course.
So, you'll get some guy that's a, union this or a truck driver or something like that, and he's a super Trump supporter. And then you'll get somebody who's, in the same economic situation that hates Trump, and they can just fight about that for days on end. And that keeps you divided, sort of thing. So you get all these billionaires and world leaders at, these economic summits and stuff like that. People come to protest those people because I believe that there should not be billionaires on the planet. I just see no purpose. And if someone can explain to me what a billionaire does that's beneficial to the rest of us, I'd like to know.
Right. Certainly some of them absolutely do
philanthropy.
Right.
But you know what? But the way that I would get rid of billionaires, I wouldn't need you to do that anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I would get rid of it by progressively.
Because personally, if I just all of a sudden became rich beyond my wildest dreams, at some certain point, it's like, I could do all these things, or I could keep all my money.
I would never become right. So they had
I couldn't own a giant company and watch people struggle like they do, and just sit back and
the only way that me and you are going to
more
become
money a year than I can.
The only way that me and you are going to become billionaires is if we won lottery and it was $1 billion, right? That's the only way that I'm going to become a billionaire.
Or some crazy idea pops in my head. You know, I could have been a millionaire. Hey, look, man, way back in the day, I was going to Buenos Nachos and grabbing horchata and coming home and mixing my rum in it. All right. I miss my millions. All right. So let's not say me or you can never be a millionaire.
Right.
Because you don't know what idea.
No, I come up with all kinds of crazy ideas all the time. But what I'm saying is the chances are we're not going to become billionaires. But if we did, I'm telling you right now, and I know for sure I would do this. I have no desire at all to give my children hundreds of millions of dollars. I have no desire to do that. I'm 48 years old. I'm not going to live long enough to spend $1 billion, even if I just started spending it. That's all I was going to do, and not leave my children that. So I would gladly sign a contract, whatever you want, that I'm going to give a majority of that money away. Like give it to. I can spend the rest of my life finding ways to give that away. Now, when I say that there should not be billionaires on the planet, I think that they should be taxed in a way that makes sure that doesn't happen, because it suits no purpose. It suits no purpose for one man to sit on a mountain of money that is so much money that he could never do it in a million years. Right. And this country's founded on not having an oligarchy, not having a situation where we have people. Listen, just because your father came up with an idea that made him hundreds of millions of dollars, you didn't come up with that idea. Why should you start off life with hundreds of millions of dollars? That makes no fucking sense to me.
Well, I don't know that I feel the same way about that. I mean, I don't know that I'd say, why should you? I mean, why shouldn't they? It's just as well. Why shouldn't they? Because
it's all supposed to be, like you make your own fucking money.
I would like to think, I would like to see
the guy that was born,
the guy that does make hundreds of millions of dollars and passes along to his kids, and his kid gets to grow up with hundreds of millions of dollars in his bank account. I would like to hope that he also passed along morals. A good moral compass, and
why would he have morals?
Don't
why would the father have morals to begin with?
Why wouldn't it?
We all
have some.
Oh, I guarantee you,
we all have
every single billionaire that ever existed. There's dead bodies somewhere. Every single one.
Yeah, I don't know that I could say every single. That's a pretty broad statement.
I know. I never speak in absolutes. But $1 billion is a number that's not even. It's 1,000 million.
Yeah.
So the guy had $1 million, which if I had $1 million today, I could seriously work there where I could retire and be done.
Sure.
$1 million. I'm almost 50. $1 million. I could
if you live 50 more years, it would probably just about, depending on how you invest, stretch out.
Right. I could
in this day and age.
With my $1 million, I could just go out and buy myself 6 rental places. Rent those places out. They'll be purchased and bought for, paid for. The property value itself goes up over time. And I keep making $1,500 a month on each one of those times 6.
Right.
I'm making $9,000 a month. I can live on that.
Well, sure.
The rest of my life. And my capital is gaining because the property value is going up also.
Sure.
So what I'm saying to you is that's $1 million. I can live the rest of my life on that. A guy had 1,000 of those, and another guy had 100,000 of those.
Right.
Why?
So what? Why not? Again, why not? I mean, it is.
Why not? Stop. I'll answer it. I can answer this fucking question for you. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why not? Why not? Here's why not. There's all kinds of fucking people who can't get an education, who can't fucking
we're just talking about having it.
No. You said why not? You said why not? I'm telling you why not.
Have it? Why not have it? Now, what he does with it, now that's maybe where I have a beef.
Well, no, they don't have to do anything with it. Jeff Bezos.
Well, they don't have to, but
Jeff Bezos made $11 billion last year and didn't pay 1 cent in taxes.
Right, and it irritates the fucking shit out of me.
Well, that's what. So you're saying why not? And I'm saying because roads need to be paved. Because
now, if he paved some roads, if he fucking paid his taxes, if all his employees made $50 an hour, I'm just saying, if he did all that,
he's not doing it.
Then it would but he's not. But
he has paid federal taxes in 4 years.
Okay.
So
we know this.
I'm just saying, the first year when he made $8 million and he paid 0 taxes, he was like, "Oh, that's fucking pretty damn nice."
Right.
And then the next year he made $9 million and didn't pay any fucking tax. $9 billion, didn't pay any taxes, then $1 billion. We're throwing this around like it's a thing.
Right.
Like,
and what I'm saying is if he had a better moral compass, I would think that you would turn around and go, look, I'm going to set the precedent and say, it's okay, but to say he has no morals, there's morals. It's just in the money aspect, he doesn't have morals. He has morals in the fact that maybe he doesn't cheat on his wife. Maybe he's not going to run around.
No, Jeff Bezos does cheat on his wife.
Oh, well, we do know that, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying.
But we
can go down the list of things he does.
There's other morals the guy has. He's not completely amoral.
Or
just be running around shooting people in the face and taking his billions. Why would he have to make a business to do it now? He's got enough money. He could buy jets and bombs and go threaten the fuck out of everybody if he had no morals. That's
an issue right there. You've got a guy that's powerful enough to buy all those things. Why should he exist?
Again, why not? He's not buying those things.
How do you know he's not buying those things?
I really don't.
If you took 8 of the
that's getting a bit extreme.
I'm just saying, if you took 8 of those people, they could form their own country.
Do I think he has a secret garage somewhere with F-15s? No.
I'm just saying, you don't know that he's not.
Missiles? Now, if you want to suggest that maybe he has, politicians bought, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So is he gonna spend his money to influence?
For a guy who believes in some conspiracy theories, it's very difficult to say that there's not dead bodies in the wake of Jeff Bezos making $135 billion. There has to be.
Well, no.
Just for the politicians because when you own politicians, wait. Okay. I can explain it to you if you hold on a second. If you own a politician, he can pass a law that says you can put chemicals in the river. People die from that. Those are dead bodies you're leaving behind.
Okay.
The Koch brothers absolutely have dead bodies.
All right. Look at all the politicians and business people in Flint.
Right. I'm just saying.
Okay, but I don't know that I would say every.
No. I know. I'm painting with a broad, and I don't ever speak in absolutes. But I want you to display a level of greed to the point where I'm sure a guy like you and a guy like me, if you ended up with $30 million, right? You would be helping people out.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
$30 million.
Certainly first those close to me.
Jeff Bezos is making $9,000 million a year.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous. And here the problem is he's making it on the backs of every single one of Jeff Bezos' employees was taught to read, write, and do arithmetic, probably with the public school system, that he pays no taxes into.
Right.
His workforce is making him money in a system that he has a vested interest in paying into, and he pays nothing into it.
Right.
So, and I'm not talking about 1 year he paid nothing into it.
It's totally flawed.
Totally
flawed.
Right.
I don't disagree.
So what I'm saying to you though is the reason why not is because the people on the bottom can't even get a fair shake to get an education. You can't even get wealth is finite.
I'm not against, all right, what's the top money anybody should make? What's the number?
Well, there's no number. There's no
okay,
number.
Then why can't they have billions?
Because I'll make it that they can't.
Well, but no, there has to be a reason.
No, if you got to a point,
you
got to the point where there was every single person was able to get their health care taken care of, every single person was able to get an education, and people were able to get themselves ahead, right? Like there was no more starving children. There was no more homelessness. There was no, we have a serious mental health problem in this country, because if you go to one of those warmer states now where they allow people to be homeless, there's a lot of states that are not allowing you to be there and be homeless. They give you fines, put you in jail. So those people are going to places like California, and then Republicans go, well, look at California, well, fucking homeless people. Yeah, it's full of homeless people because they have hearts, and they won't put them in jail because it makes no goddamn sense to take a person who's on the street and then lock them up.
Right.
That makes no sense.
And then do what? Fine them?
Yeah, fine for what? You got no fucking money.
Fine you out of homelessness?
Right. So we've got a mental, and if you go there and check it out, there's 25 or 30% of those people have they're schizophrenic. Sure. They've got a serious mental.
The 80s, they did terrible things to the whole mental health.
Well, they emptied the asylums out,
right?
Because they said we can't just be a farm where we're going to keep funding this thing. But that's what you need to do, because they say 1 in 6 people have some sort of mental, whether it's
extreme enough to be unfunctioning.
Well, whether it's autism and it's so extreme that you can't, right, or it's just socially awkward, you can't, or people make statements about like someone who's claustrophobic or afraid of heights. Those are still mental issues, right. But there's people that have that to extreme where they can't
leave the house. They're
agoraphobic. They can't leave the house. They can't go up in a building, go anywhere near a fucking window, because they'll seriously straight up have a panic attack because of heights.
They think they're going to fall out the window.
You're standing on the ground, right? You're not going to fall, but they can't handle that.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, all of this stuff is not getting taken care of. You've seen our roads. They're in fucking shit shape, right? I mean, everything's in bad shape because we keep trying to find ways to cut these people these breaks. So all I'm saying is, listen, you can earn $10 million in 1 year, and then you're going to start drastically going up in a progressive tax plan that makes it damn near impossible for you to become a billionaire. And I'm not going to cry about that. You're still talking about a guy like Jeff Bezos. If at the end of it all, instead of making $11 billion, the guy made $800 million that he got to take home, cry me a fucking river.
Right.
But in the process of all that, schools get paid for, teachers get fucking proper salaries. The guy's employees get proper fucking salaries. Right. Everybody's got healthcare to take care of themselves. All this can be done on the backs of these people. But we have,
and it doesn't, and this is where I say it would be nice if there were, and of course, always there's going to be bad apples everywhere. That's why not every person is a shit turd. Not every, country is a fucking shithole. And that's why not every leader is running around trying to take over the world. So, to some level, most everybody has some kind of moral compass. Now, what it would be nice simply is if in that culture of big business, if the people who made it there would be like, all right, you know what, there's no free healthcare in this country, but I can pay for healthcare for my employees because I have $11 billion. Yeah, and I will pay by.
You're forgetting how they got to get $11 billion.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to change the culture of how people think. Okay, and it's just the way. To allow people to be free.
He got $11 billion because he's the greediest motherfucker we all know.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, yes.
No.
He didn't do those things before that.
If I came up with Amazon and you knew me all these years and I was the one who came up with Amazon tomorrow, it didn't exist, and I'm the one who comes up with Amazon, and I end up making $11 billion a year, but I pay taxes and stuff, and I do for my employees and stuff.
But he doesn't. He doesn't.
Okay, but we're talking billionaires in general. You're focusing just on him, Bezos. I'm talking everybody who's got ass tons of money.
Right now, there's 91 Fortune 500 companies that paid zero federal taxes.
Yes,
I'm telling you, this is the goal. It's not the 92nd one is like, motherfucker, we just missed it. Like, I'm telling you, all these fucks. It's all about exactly that. So there is no, they're the Gordon Gekko situation. Greed is good. And all this, so they've convinced themselves that this is what they need to do. And what I'm saying is they've lost sight of humanity completely because they're not down with I think that it's hard to fathom the amount of, you're throwing around $11 billion, even $1 billion in 1 year. If you take $52 million, which is $1 billion, if you made $52 million a year, you'd have to work, 20 years to make $1 billion.
Right.
20 years at $52 million a year to make $1 billion. To make $10 billion, you have to work 200 years.
Right.
Okay, so wait.
It's a dumb, crazy amount of money.
That means that every Friday, on just the crazy low amount of money we're talking about, every Friday you turn around, there's a fucking $1 million sitting there. Every fucking Friday, $1 million. That's $52 million a year, and you have to work 200 years just to make what Jeff Bezos made in 1 year. Now take a regular person who makes $52,000 a year. So every Friday, how long does he have to work to make $1 billion? 1,000 years he has to work to make. So what I'm saying to you is, at first they suit no purpose at all. There's nothing that creating a black hole where all this money goes down, because Jeff Bezos has tens of thousands of employees that until just recently were making fucking $8 an hour.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is Jeff Bezos, the Waltons, let's name them all. They all got to where they got to.
But they all have the same business concept, and it doesn't matter.
Even Jeff Bezos, first off, too. Jeff Bezos didn't come up with an idea.
Person that starts a business, basically, if you are any good at it, you're following the models that have already existed and been put into practice by other business people, right? I mean, nobody's coming up with some.
Where I'm going is Jeff Bezos did not come up with Jeff Bezos didn't come up with an idea that made all that money. Jeff Bezos had all kinds of things that fell into place just in the right way that made him that money. There were all kinds of other companies right at that, just like Google. Yahoo used to be a thing. There was all kinds of other search engines. It just turned out that people went on Google more, and Google became the biggest one, what it is. Now, even though those are supposed to be leftists and everything else, and they do so I stopped shopping at Sam's Club because honestly, the employees there are miserable fucking people. Right. They're making $8-9 an hour, and they got to deal with everyone's shit all day long.
Right.
They're miserable. So when I'm like, hey,
and you got to put up with the corporate crap you got to do.
Yeah, right. And every year they're trying to make the bottom line.
Like this, don't act like
this guy's working 32 hours a week because they won't give him another hour, so he can still collect his welfare and all this other bullshit. So I stopped shopping there, and I lived in Manhattan, so it was like 15 minutes to go to Sam's Club, and I would drive all the way to Orland Park to go to Costco. Right. The people that work at Costco are far, far, far more pleasant to deal with. Mm-hmm. They're more knowledgeable about what's going on. They're more interested in helping you because they're not like, I got to be at this fucking job all fucking day to day, and then I'm going to go home. I got nothing. I live in a shit fucking place, everything else. So, and the CEO of Costco makes far less money. Like he's a guy, he still makes a fabulous living.
Right.
I'm not denying anybody a fabulous living. I'm not even denying a guy to make $1 million every Friday. I'm just saying you can't make $1 billion. I'm going to make it so you can't.
I don't agree with that. I just think that it would be great to see things.
Go ahead and explain it, because your fantasy about how you're going to make $1 billion.
Well, it's not a fantasy. It's something that could be achieved. Other cultures live in different ways as well. The way we run around and treat each other and act in public, you go to Japan, people don't act like that. You're a savage for using a knife and a fork in Japan. That's what chopsticks are for, because you've already done killed it. Okay. So you can, just like anywhere else where cultures are different, there's always the possibility to change a culture and the mindset, or to force people to understand that. I talk at work. I fill in young kids at work and go, you don't even understand what it's like to work for a place and know that even if you're a crappy worker, back in the day, even if you were a crappy worker, you're probably going to get 25-cent raise every year. If you were a pretty good worker, showed up every day, did your job,
25 cents a year,
you might get 50 cents a year. If you're a good worker, you work hard and stuff, $1 raise was no big deal back in the day. Everybody got almost everybody I knew back.
I gave guys dollars every year. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Now the model is, what percent are we going to give you? Did you do good enough this year to get a 1%, 2%, or 3% raise?
Yeah.
That's about it. Some brackets of depending on job. Now, if you're talking, blue collar type stuff, 3% is generally about the top end at any
That's terrible, because 2% is
going to give So they give you a 1% above that, and sometimes they don't. Just like after the market crashed, every business used that as a fucking excuse for whatever, almost a decade, not to give anybody shit for a raise.
Right.
We can't afford it. And actually, we're going to take money away. Well, one guy who owned us when we were owned by Honeywell, Dave Cody, the one day we got a notification that, he's cutting $5 million out of the budget, and we're not doing this, that, and the other anymore. There's no more Christmas parties. There's no more, we're not sending, if you work there 40 years, your wife dies, we're not sending your wife flowers anymore for her funeral. All this kind of stuff to save $5 million. And that guy took a $12 million or $17 million bonus that year. A $17 million bonus, and you cut fucking funeral flowers out of the budget.
Okay.
Why, dude? That's the mentality I think needs to change. Is that, and the workers have to do that. So that's why when I talk to the young kids, I'm like, you don't know how people used to get raises, and it's not like that anymore. Everything is very fucking different, and every business now has the mentality of what can we get away with not doing for these people. So why can't we have a mentality of how well can we take care of our employees so everybody can win?
Right. Okay, in Warner Brothers where the guy goes rabbit season, the guy goes duck season, he goes rabbit. Did we just do that? Because you're telling me now that yes, the corporations are not.
But I'm not saying. I think it doesn't. I think the people at the bottom end need to voice what they feel.
There's an argument for unions.
Because I do that on a regular basis.
There's an argument for unions, right? To all get together.
I frequently talk to people and go, look, man, you got to remember when they used to do wage increase meetings for us, because they don't do that anymore on purpose. When they used to do that, part of what they told us was all the different costs of doing business. This is what we spend on utilities. This is what we spend on materials. This is what, and the cost of labor was like 1 to, I don't even know if it ever got to 2% of the total cost of doing business. So then you got to use your brain when work comes to you and says, well, we can't give you a better raise this year because it's just not in the budget. But we're like 1%. That's like you can't make that's like you can't make your hardly make your bills here in the house.
But so do the math for people that are listening.
What I'm saying is, if you're running your household and toilet paper is 1% of your total cost of running the household, and the lights are about to be turned off, we're not going to spend that kind of money on toilet paper no more. Well, that's only there's got to be other things. Can you afford this fish tank and all the fish food and the chemicals and whatever else, other big expenses? But our employers always want to hit the worker first and go, yeah, we just can't afford to give you that kind of raise. Well, people got to start speaking up, whether it's union or not. If people start having the wherewithal,
you got a union.
I'll go work somewhere.
The one guy
else.
that speaks up will get fired if you don't unionize. If you don't get together on it, it's right. And I don't care if it's a formal union or not, but if you're not locked together as you're going to do this thing. So, okay. So if a guy back in the day made $10 an hour and he got a raise, that's 10%.
Right.
He got $1 raise, that's 10%. If he made $12 an hour and he got a raise for $1, that's 8% that he got. He got an 8% raise. So nowadays you're right. Like this is exactly what I hear is I got that stupid ass 2% raise again this year. So you essentially didn't get a raise because inflation was the 2%.
And then insurance goes up 3 to 4%.
Right.
So now you're down.
Cost of healthcare goes up. Right.
I literally have made no more money than 15 years ago when I started there.
Right.
My pay is my
right.
Not every year is the same.
And the problem is that every single business in the last 20 years has seen productivity per employee go up.
Right.
Because automation, because things get to be, if you're a roofer and you buy a set of nail guns and the compressor, I can fire 2 guys and still do as much roofing. So now I've got less guys, more roofing getting done, and I'm not giving a raise like I used to give either.
Right.
So what happens? The boss gets richer and richer. Now, I was the boss. I was also a guy who I was never going to be. I made a lot of money. Like money came in. I was like, holy cow. At times I was like, wow. And I just stopped and said, okay, I made 3 times, 4 times what my employees were making. That ain't shit compared to CEO right now makes 450 times what his average worker makes.
Right.
They said Jeff Bezos makes in 15 minutes of the year what its average employee makes for a year. He makes in the first 15 minutes of the year.
Yeah.
So, and now that was a while back. I bet you it's like fucking 30 seconds now. He's got that a year's worth of pay.
Right.
So my situation is this. I looked at my books and said, I'm really doing well. I have workman's comp for all my guys. What I need to do is get them some sort of, they're getting older. I need to get them some sort of health insurance. So I went out and got them a Blue Cross. My steady guys got Blue Cross Blue Shield. If he had a runny nose or a sore throat, he'd go to the doctor and get it covered. Now, nobody told me I had to do this, but I was like, hey, what's it going to cost me? The guy told me it was going to cost me. I looked at my books and I said, I'm going to do that. So I showed up one day at work and I'm like, hey, I know you're only 22 years old. You probably don't give a shit. But if you're sick or say at home, you do something, you cut yourself, you need stitches, you can go get this done off of this Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I'm just a little fucking guy with a company with 5 fucking employees. And this is what I'm doing. So on the flip side of that, there's companies that have 500 employees and they ain't fucking doing that.
Right.
Because the whole idea is that I'm going to get rich. So I'm done with saying, look at the man in the mirror. I did the man in the mirror. I did what I was supposed to do. And I mean, I can pull employees up and say, hey, remember when I got you that Blue Cross? And they'll tell you yes.
Right.
So fuck that. What I say is you make it that the tax becomes progressive. If it's progressive, you're not hurting a guy that's making $1 million a year. He's still going to make his $1 million a year. The guy that makes more than $10 million a year, though, he starts to get a bigger chunk taken out.
And I don't think that that's a bad idea either, a progressive tax. And I don't think that that's an awful idea, but I don't like saying there shouldn't be any of these kind of people.
No, I firmly believe, looking at the math, tell me why. I mean, tell me a positive. Why should there be?
Because why shouldn't it?
I already did that. I told you why there should be.
You know
Tell me why there should be.
Those guys, some of them do great things.
Why should we rely on them doing great things?
Who says we have to rely on them?
You are. You're saying that we should leave it up to them.
No, not entirely.
Well, yeah, you are. You're saying leave it up.
There are taxes. That's what the whole point of the taxes. That's the part that should be different.
We have. I'm not sure.
I don't disagree with that. So you're saying to tax them at a progressive tax.
Yep.
So by your own words, you said they should be taxed at a progressive tax rate, but they're not paying taxes anyway. So therefore, you have to fix.
Well, they're not paying taxes. They're not paying taxes anyway because the corporate tax rate right now has been dropped.
So I'm saying is the what if as well as you are. Right now, what we don't have is them paying taxes.
How many American billionaires are there?
But you want to tax them at a progressive tax rate that doesn't do any good if they're not paying taxes anyway.
According to the report, the U.S. has
so they have to be paying the taxes to pay a progressive tax.
How many American billionaires are there?
607 billionaires.
There's 607 people in this country that are worth $1 billion or more.
Right.
Okay. So all I'm saying to you is, we throw around this billion number like it's a thing that's just not $1 billion. Even $1 billion is an amount of money that almost no one can go through. It's 1,000 million. Like literally, if you just let it sit there and you earned 1%, that's $10 million a year. That's you're bringing in.
Right.
Overdoing absolutely
my company's been bought and sold like 3 or 4 times since I've been there. So, and I'm aware of what they cost. All right, so whatever, like $23 million, you could be the owner of Presto.
Okay.
All right. So I get you have to own a lot of businesses.
I'm not in any way right. I'm not in any way saying that there shouldn't be millionaires. In fact, if you taxed billionaires at a rate that made it,
but if they're not paying the taxes anyway, you have to get them to have to pay the taxes.
You're talking about tax reform. I'm talking about massive overhaul.
So if you're talking about tax reform, which nobody's ever going to fucking do, because all those dickwads are not going to let it fucking happen.
Right.
Okay. So, my fantasy world is like as attainable as your fantasy world.
No, but you're saying
because they're not going to ever let it fucking happen.
But you're just saying
because what we're doing right now is fighting over. The whole country's locked in on what's going on with fucking Trump.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about tax reform.
Right.
Okay.
Well, but
And every day they're all up there talking about something else. They're not talking about tax reform.
There was all kinds of people
talking about,
There was all kinds of people on social media 2 months ago who told me 100% it will never happen that he was impeached. Guess what happened?
Okay, but like I said, in the terminology only.
Yeah,
he's not removed from office.
No, there's only one thing that's impeached. He's impeached. What are you talking about? In terminology only, there's impeachment and there's removal. He's impeached.
Okay, but he's not removed from office. So what happens in the impeachment? What you're impeached? What happens to you now?
You know what happens?
You have that moniker over your head for the rest of your life?
Yes, you have an asterisk.
Okay, so what?
What do you mean, so what?
So what? What's the penalty to him?
The only thing that Donald Trump has is
I'm a president that
legacy.
was impeached, and I leave office, and I still have all these buddies all over the world now, and I have all these outlets to, build my businesses even bigger and whatnot. But you were impeached, so who the fuck is going to deal with Trump after this and give a fuck that he was impeached? Who's going to say I'm not doing business with Trump anymore after he's president? Because
when you're done talking, I'll talk.
So what does the impeachment really mean?
It means everything, or they wouldn't.
Is he handcuffed in some way?
Are you done yet? I'll explain to you what it means. He does not want to be impeached. It's a fucking disgrace. It is his legacy for the rest of his life that, hey, there's been.
You see the stuff he does? You think he feels much disgrace on anything?
Yes, absolutely. Donald Trump daily wants to be loved by everyone. And that's his narcissistic problem, is he wants love constantly. Why do you think he does these Nuremberg-style rallies constantly where he has to have these people just shower him with attention?
He wants to have enough people to maybe fill his ego for that. I don't think he wants.
Correct.
I think he still thrives on, the controversy of those who don't like him. So I don't think he wants everybody.
I think the things that you're saying ring true with people that like him.
What I'm saying is he's getting impeached. But what does it mean?
I'm not cheering it on that he's getting impeached, but he's getting impeached.
But regardless if you're cheering it on, what does being impeached mean? If he's not removed from office, how does he suffer other than having that moniker?
Okay.
He doesn't.
Yes, okay. You're saying, what would you like to bet that he does? Because I did this thing where people told me that he wasn't going to be impeached. He's impeached today. Okay. I will bet you this, that the impeachment, this process is not Bill Clinton. That man is not Bill Clinton, right? He's not. Bill Clinton's a loathsome human being too, but Trump has taken this thing to new levels. Okay. As far as he raw dogs porn stars, he steals from his own fucking charities. He had a scam college where he had to pay $25 million back today. Now, you could say that. So the same thing what you're saying would be the college thing.
And he's done all these things, and he took in
$187 million from the university. That was a scam university, right? The fine he had to pay was $25 million. So if you can do the math on that, he still has $140 million that he gets to keep.
So there was an actual, repercussion to those actions.
No, because he still ended up with $150 million.
Okay, and then when he's impeached, he's not going to have that?
No. There's two different things.
Okay, but no, what I'm asking you was,
can I explain
how does he suffer being impeached? You still haven't told me.
Are you going to ask the same question, or let me explain it? What he's going to suffer by being impeached by first off, if you look at all the presidents, he's going to have that asterisk. That fucking sucks. Okay. It does. You can act like it doesn't, but that's just a guy that likes Trump.
I'm not acting like it doesn't. It doesn't.
It absolutely fucking does. Nixon was, I'm not a crook. The rest of his fucking life, he spent saying that he wasn't a crook. He wasn't a crook. He was a fucking crook, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So wait. So it obviously bothered him. Clinton obviously didn't like to be impeached either. But Clinton.
And how did he suffer?
Well, Clinton's impeachment. Do you think Clinton should have been impeached? We know what he was impeached for first.
Yeah, for whatever, not telling the truth of.
He lied. He perjured himself and lied about the blowjob. Now, if you're a married guy and you're getting blowjobs from an intern in the White House, in the Oval Office,
you can't just explain it away.
I'm not explaining it away. I think he should have been impeached because he lied. I got that. That's fine.
Right.
But if you take what Bill Clinton did and you put it in comparison to a guy asked a foreign leader for help.
I'm not getting at that. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying to you,
what I'm saying is this whole thing is just
I'm
whatever.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
So
I got to better explain the whole thing though.
All right.
Okay. So we've got a totally different context for the way that one guy was impeached. One guy was impeached purely on a fucking like situation that, yeah, he lied. So they caught him on that thing and they impeached him. Right now, there was he didn't get impeached until his second term, not because he didn't do it in the first term, because it took a really long time to do it. It was a big battle that they did this thing. No one's going to put up a battle for a thing. You're making it out that every Trump supporter I know right now tonight is saying the exact same nonsense you're saying, which is, who gives a shit? It's nothing. It's absolutely something. It's the legacy this man will have for the rest of his life. You can't take any money with you. When you're dead, how much money are you worth when you're dead?
It all depends on what you have.
No, you're worth
leaving it to somebody.
When you're dead, you're worth absolutely fucking nothing. You're dead.
Right. Okay.
So, but the asterisk is still there, right?
If anybody gives a shit.
Only the people
who gives a shit if that Clinton.
Because history gives a shit.
Who gives a shit?
Yes, and Clinton's a fucking dog. No one likes that fucking guy.
So whatever.
Is Bill Clinton a good guy?
He's still running around acting how he wants to act and doing whatever he wants to do.
I'm not saying that power is not. Right.
He's not suffering any because he was impeached.
You're full of shit. If he didn't get impeached,
Where would he be now?
Better than he would be if he was
doing maybe what? Wait. What is
Bill,
he not doing?
Wait. If Bill Clinton did not get caught, get caught getting a blowjob from a fat chick in the fucking Oval Office, would he not be a different fucking person in history's eyes?
I don't think anybody pays attention to that anymore.
Oh, bullshit. Jesus fucking
Only
Christ.
the right could
Everybody
bring that up.
Even the left looks at Bill Clinton and goes, oh, you're kind of a shithead. You're fucking shitty to women.
How do they not look at each other and think everybody's a shithead? How many people are fucking in Washington right now?
You're saying it doesn't matter
in that
if you
building
get caught,
that we're watching on the TV. How many of those people do the same things? Would Donald Trump
and
trade?
Others
that know that's going on with people that haven't been caught.
Would Donald Trump trade?
Would
Donald Trump trade
next to the other one that knows this senator? I know that you cheat on your fucking wife and you're getting fucking blowjobs from every hooker in fucking DC every weekend.
Would Donald Trump trade?
You're saying that the rest of
I'll try and get the question out of this sometime.
Well, I'm trying.
I understand they're all fucking crooked, Shawn. I understand. Fuck all, man.
Right? So,
I understand that. I got that.
I don't think anybody
take a half an hour to explain that they're all fucking crooked. I got it. Stop talking. Would Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or Nixon trade getting caught for not getting caught?
Well, of course.
Then there's got to be an upside and a downside to it.
Because nobody wants to get caught.
Why?
Certain weirdos.
Why? Why? It don't fucking matter. Why? They'd still be doing what they want to do.
Go through the bullshit. Because they are still all doing whatever it is they do.
They would do more if they didn't get caught.
Bill Clinton has not hit any roadblocks since his presidency because he was impeached.
That is the only road.
There's nobody that said,
that's the only
I'm
road.
not dealing with you because you were impeached.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Absolutely.
Like what?
That's the only roadblock that Bill Clinton had. Bill Clinton presided over a surplus in his presidency. Bill Clinton was lucky enough to be president when the tech boom went on. So when Google and Yahoo and all those things took off, Bill Clinton presided over one of the best economies that ever was. But everyone's going to remember Bill Clinton got a blowjob from Monica Lewinsky. Now, if Bill Clinton could erase just that, he absolutely fucking would, because he'd look like a fucking terrific president. He does not look. How many people do we all know?
Only the people on the right see it that way.
No, I know all kinds of people on the left that don't like Bill Clinton either. I know all kinds of people on the left that don't.
But they're not discounting his presidency because they're not saying he wasn't a good president.
They're saying that.
So that because he lied about getting a blowjob, all the stuff you mentioned, they don't care about.
No, it tarnishes the whole thing. They think he's a despicable human being.
It doesn't take away the fact that those people still think he did all these great things.
No, I didn't even say he did great things today. I said he was lucky enough
in their eyes, they
to
think
preside.
They're great things.
He was lucky enough to preside over
people on the right. Will we could sit here and argue he didn't make that economy and this, that, and the other, because we all heard it when he was president. And
if you would trade something for not having something, it's got to be worth something. Like I said, if you took Bill Clinton's presidency and you erased just that one thing, he's not a better guy in the world's eye. He's absolutely a better guy in the world's eye, but he's not suffered everybody. Yes, he has.
Other than his image,
dude. His wife.
Other than his image,
a big part of the reason his wife couldn't get elected president was because she sat idly by while he abused all these women.
Nobody cared about all that.
It was constantly talked about.
Nobody cared about. I mean, it was brought up just as much as everything else about her, though. Everything else that people didn't like about her was just as much.
What else is there about Bill Clinton?
It wasn't like you can say Hillary would have got elected if Bill didn't get impeached. That's completely false.
If Bill Clinton never got caught for his transgressions at all, she probably would have got elected. I can say that exactly.
Nah.
She wouldn't be the person you think she is. So the world wouldn't think she was who she is.
That has nothing to do with what I think of Hillary Clinton. Zero to do with how she said she, just like you say.
Just because you think something doesn't mean the whole world thinks it just like you think it.
Okay. That's the whole point of what we're doing is it doesn't matter what not everybody thinks like we do. So you're just talking about
if you could erase that one thing, if Bill Clinton could erase the fact that he got caught for all that stuff, he would absolutely do it because it would change his image. So everybody around, image means a whole fucking lot, man. You get a whole lot further in business with a good image than you do with a bad image.
Nobody is not doing business with Clintons because
absolutely they are. Absolutely, they are.
0.5% of possible.
You would have to measure that by saying yes. So let's
maybe
take
a 0.5% of dealings, but he's not.
Let's take a. You're just putting a number on it.
He's not homeless, on the streets because of.
He was never going to be homeless on the streets, but he would have been better off without it. Trump will be worse off with this than without it, guaranteed.
It'll be a non-issue.
Okay, and
20 years from now, nobody will care.
But they still care about Clinton.
And he'll probably still be making
Clinton's
hotels
was
and
1990 something. So that's almost 30 years from now, and they still care about what Bill Clinton did. Yeah. I hear about it constantly, what Bill Clinton did.
That's just because it's something stupid to argue about. That's all.
It's still ammunition. It's still something
it's ammunition for the middle to be distracted by and argue about.
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing for entertainment purpose, whoever's watching or listening. I get that. But the fact is that these people who are immensely powerful would probably give up a large portion of what they have.
When you're labeled a pedophile or a felon, it's hard to get jobs. It's hard to do a lot of things. You don't get to live life normally. Your life is drastically different because you have been labeled a pedophile.
We just got done talking about Epstein, who was dealing in pedophilia, and he was a billionaire.
That's the point I'm making is this is a label that has no ramifications in the grand scheme of things. It has no ramifications. He's been impeached. Tattoo it on his fucking forehead.
Yep.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Sure it does. There's 45.
You tattoo that you're a pedophile on your forehead. You're going to suffer every fucking day of your life. You're going to suffer somehow. No.
Where did you pull this out of? What orifice did you pull this out of? This doesn't matter.
How does it not relate?
It doesn't relate. It has nothing to do with it. Yes, you're saying something that
suffered. He's not
you're saying
suffering.
Water is wet, and that proves your point. That does nothing. Yes, water is wet. I understand pedophilia is a fucking terrible thing, and people hate that. How did I become so? I'm not arguing that. Like fucking what the hell are you talking about?
That he's suffering for being impeached. That Bill Clinton suffered for being impeached.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's not gonna hit those. That's not. There's no ramifications. There's no. You can't do that because you were impeached.
You're saying, okay, like a child, you got to stand in the corner. I'm telling you, there are things that he is held from, an achievement that he's held from because he was impeached. And it's absolutely fucking true. And you can't quantify it because you can't look at a guy. You have to go to another dimension and say, okay, now this would be Bill Clinton if he wasn't. You're an intelligent enough guy to look at the situation and go, yeah, I guess history would have looked at Bill Clinton much differently if that never happened. And it's a fucking fact. And really, when you're all done with everything, no matter what kind of money you make, no matter who you hung out with or all that other shit, you only get to take your reps. Me and you only get to take your reputations to the grave, right? So the things that you do, and I'm sure you do lots of like, I mean, the stuff like with your daughter that's like really tough to deal with and everything else, man, I give you all the props in the world because that's tougher than dealing with what I deal with being a dude in a wheelchair. It is. I think so.
I don't think so.
For me, I think you deserve more credit than I do is what I'm saying.
Well,
because I wouldn't trade my son or daughter being in my situation for me being in my situation. You wouldn't either.
Right.
So I'm just saying that like there's people out there that have kids in wheelchairs. There's people out there that have kids that have cerebral palsy. Believe me, I'm paralyzed from my chest down. Life's very difficult, but when I look at that situation, I don't look at it being as difficult as that situation, right? So the way there's other parents that don't deal with it the way you deal with it, right? There's other people. Sure. I knew a guy who his daughter was autistic and he was running around on his wife, happened to be with someone that I knew, and the wife called me and said, "Hey, my husband is running around with this person that you know." And I'm like, "Oh, the story I heard was that you guys were divorced." He goes, "Oh no, he keeps coming back around here and everything else. He's not doing anything with the autistic child and everything else." Now, no matter what fun this guy, because he's running around doing whatever he wants to do, right? No ramifications, my ass. He's going to die someday, and everyone that knew him is going to know he's a fucking dog. And when he dies, he's going to carry that reputation for the rest of his fucking existence. I do things in my life. I'm not I don't know how you are with the God stuff or anything else. I'm like agnostic, right? Like I'm not a going to church guy. And I tried. I did like years of like study scripture and all that other stuff. But what I do is I look at things and I go, I'm beholden to me and everyone around me. If I am a shitty person to people and I cheat people out of stuff and I'm just known as a shitty fucking dealer, right? There are all kinds of shitty dealers out there that are fucking wealthy, and they're wealthy because they're shitty dealers. They don't pay contractors. They don't give raises. They don't do these things. They benefit greatly from being a fucking shithead. Once they're dead, they're going to be known as that shithead. I don't want that.
And they're dead, so they don't care.
I believe that they do care. Not when they're dead, when they're alive, what their legacy is. I do.
Not everybody does. There's plenty of people out there that love nothing more than to run around and be a shithead and admit that they're a shithead and could care less. I'll shove it straight up your ass if it means I can put $5 in my pocket or whatever.
I'm not saying that there's not. Do you want to be that guy?
Well, of course I don't, but there's people that are.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, though.
There's people that are.
I don't want to be that guy, but he's got dollars in his pocket.
There's people that don't care.
Yeah, you're not getting my point. I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy.
Oh, right. And I don't want to be that guy.
How do you know Trump isn't that guy? How do you know Trump isn't sitting there?
How do you know that? How do you know the guy? How do you know the guy?
If they don't throw me out of office, I don't care. Call me impeached, whatever.
Oh, no. He cares. He absolutely
whatever.
cares.
Maybe he does.
He's made statements that he cares, right?
I'm just saying.
He tweeted 120 times in one day. He cares. But I'm just saying, he's every little thing that gets, I mean, that 16-year-old climate change girl got under his skin and he's tweeting about that. So like he's as thin-skinned as possible. Impeachment's a big fucking deal. I guarantee you he's shit tweeting right now because he's
probably
upset about it.
Probably.
What I'm saying is you want to be that guy.
Whether he cares or not. All I'm saying is the whole thing of impeachment in the grand scheme holds no ramifications really. Maybe it makes his job
saying
harder.
You said it on like 15 times.
His job
it doesn't make it true
while he's in office, of course.
Absolutely.
Right. So he's going to suffer there.
Right.
But, after the fact, it doesn't matter. When he's out of office, be it in 11 months or be it in
I guess time will tell what you're saying. You're saying it, but it doesn't make that doesn't make it true. If there's right now, okay, so
and I can't. I don't know what the fucking future holds, but I can go by what I see from the past, and as we discussed, Bill Clinton. It's not something that it's like, all right, you're fined or you're fucking can't. Like I said,
I think people are smarter than you're giving credit for. Bill Clinton was impeached in a way that was about something that did not affect the national security. It just didn't. Okay.
Right.
So there's not that. Bill Clinton also didn't have a situation.
And I'm not arguing whose scenario was worse.
No, I'm not either. What I'm saying to you is the general public looked at the situation. The economy was good as it is now, right? The economy is supposed to be strong. And you're looking at a situation where a guy did something that was morally, frowned upon as far as that goes. But people say about Trump too. We didn't hire him because and I get that. That's fine.
Right.
I don't care what Kennedy was banging him to at a time. None of that stuff. But you're telling me that the moral actions of a guy, which is what we're talking about when you get impeached, right? He got impeached for saying, hey, I've got this aid or I've got a White House, something you need, and I'm going to hold it until you tell me you'll go to a CNN and make an investigation. Who cares if you do the investigation or not? Just make it look bad, tarnish my opponent so I can win this election, and then that's fine. So that's a different thing to people in their minds. And the reason I'm saying that is I have electoral proof of that being a situation. The midterms, right? Blue wave of fucking Democrats get elected into Congress, right? After that, every single special election he's lost. And those are ones where he went there, held up the guy's hand, said, hey, vote for this governor. And we're not talking about governors in Michigan, in Wisconsin. We're talking about governors in Kentucky.
Right.
Blue governor in Kentucky. We're talking about a governor in Louisiana. Now, you don't get much more red than Louisiana, right? Next to that is Mississippi, and that's the reddest you get. That'll never go because those are backward-ass people. So right now, you're seeing the ramifications of this guy's moral actions in office. There are people, and all it takes is he lost the popular vote by 3 million votes. He won the election because of the Electoral College by, they say, 70,000 votes placed in just the right spots that won him the Electoral College. To have that flip on you, all you got to do is chip away a little bit at this stuff. There are people that are peeling off of this guy as far as the things that he's done. There's all kinds of independent voters that are like, oh, yeah, no. I don't know. I felt like you were a Sanders supporter, maybe I was more in favor of him. Right. And I don't care who anyone supports. Do what you want. It's America, secret ballot, that whole thing. I was a Sanders supporter for sure. Out in the open. I was at the office answering phones. Like that's the only candidate I've ever seen. I donated a bunch of money to him. I've only seen that guy that I was like, oh, fuck, this is a goddamn honest guy. Like, this is fucking weird. Right. They have this guy. Now, when he got cheated out of the nomination with the Clinton DNC situation, right, where, as soon as the primary is over, she hires the person that's running the DNC to run her campaign. It's obvious this is a fucking cahoot situation. So when that happened, I think it turned off so many people that didn't have I don't like Hillary Clinton for all kinds of reasons, maybe similar to the reasons that you didn't like Hillary Clinton. Part of them had to do with the fact that woman, when Bill Clinton's situation got up there and she got up right next to him and said, they're all liars, just thirsty bitches lying. I shouldn't say thirsty bitches because that's now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she was a terrible fucking person to these people who he victimized, held power over so he could have sex with and stuff like that. Part of it was that she's a nasty little woman and I didn't like her to be president. I still voted for her in the fucking end because she was the lesser of the situation than this fucking moron that's there now. This guy is so narcissistic and everything else. He's seriously dangerous. We had a American journalist, the Kakaji guy, or whatever his name was, that got chopped up by the Saudi fucking prince. Right. And this guy did nothing. Right. That's an American journalist that got chopped up into pieces. He did nothing about it. At Helsinki, this idiot stood on a stage and took the side of Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent, over our own intelligence agencies. Right. That's treasonous. That's not the way that this should go. So there are people, who was the fucking Guido dude that Scaramucci, that was like the press secretary for like 11 days. Yeah. He was the biggest Trump supporter that ever was. He was as slick as whale shit in an ice flow. He's not anymore. And the thing that chipped him off was it's a weird situation because he's such a Trumpster. It was the comments he made about the squad to the Prime Minister of Israel. Don't let these American citizens into your country because they say bad shit about me.
Yeah, right.
That's not what an American president is supposed to do. There are still people out there that are independent. This is a Trumpster that peeled away from him. A guy that got hired by him peeled away. There are independents that are certainly being peeled away by this appalling fucking shit this guy's doing. If you look at his numbers, poll numbers, he was down by 3% in Wisconsin and still won Wisconsin. If you look at Nate Silver's comments on that, that's still within the margin of error, and he won it. Right. He's down by 14 points in Wisconsin right now. Okay. That's not within the margin of error anymore.
Right.
So there's no electoral data out there that says he's going to get reelected to begin with. He's got all this other shit. So all I'm saying to you is we will see if this has any ramification as far as I think that Trump's thin-skinned and narcissistic.
Well, the one thing that we'll never know is if it didn't happen, would there be if this didn't happen, if there wasn't an impeachment, would he get reelected?
Well,
or because we're never going to know if all these other things that you just mentioned, if America's paying attention enough and noticing these things, if those alone on their own are enough to turn people off to vote for him again.
You're right.
The ones that voted for him.
Right.
We won't know.
You don't know because you can't compare it side by side. But
I mean, unless you did it,
you can't say
exit poll and go, did you not vote for him because
right? But you can't say
not vote for him for other reasons.
You can't say that an American president is not really. I mean, there's stories of George Senior Bush being devastated by losing the second term. So the goal is, and if you look at Trump himself, he was at campaign rallies a month into his first term. He's doing campaign rallies for 4 years now. He's already campaigning. So his complete goal was all legacy based. It was that I'm going to have 8 years as president and it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Now, I personally don't care if he is reelected. If the only thing that I care about him being reelected is the judges that he's appointing, because there's some completely unqualified people that he's appointing because they're in their 40s, so they're young and they're conservative. He's trying to turn the courts into a conservative place and they're lifetime appointments. So that's a problem. Beyond that, I foresee the next president probably running into just cyclically, because the economy goes up and down.
Right.
Running into a problem. So if a Bernie Sanders or an Elizabeth Warren gets elected and 3 years from now, the economy takes a shit, every single person will point at that person and go, your fault.
Right. Of course.
And it's not. It's a cyclical. I don't give a president credit for the economy, and I don't give it.
No, you can certainly do things to hurt it, and you can certainly do things to help it.
I think you can do things
I think the money
keep things stable.
Handlers are more in control of the economy and the ebb and flow of money.
Right. If we don't talk about impeachment itself, because the impeachment process is a political process, it's a long drawn out thing. But if we just talk about if you take the things that make Donald Trump despicable out of the situation, it's a very good chance that he gets reelected again. It's a very good chance that the economy does better. People feel better about this. I think there's all kinds of people out there that have Donald Trump. I don't personally. I think he's comedy gold. I can't believe the funny that comes out of this. Right. I mean, he went to a hurricane site and was like, whose boat is this? And just kept on with the fucking boat. Right. It's like a 6-year-old, right? He writes things like hamburger and fucking covfefe and stuff like that. He's a fucking riot. I mean, I find him amusing as all fucking hell. And the news is making millions and millions on the ratings because he's constantly saying some dumbass shit. Mm-hmm. So he's been comedy gold as far as that goes. So I don't really care. Like I don't have a situation where I don't like kids that were born with millions of dollars. I have no use for that. I don't think just because you were born on third base doesn't mean you hit a home run. I mean, guys like us were born, we lived in the square. You had to make your life out of everything. And I mean, there's still times now when I'm 40 years old that I'm like, can't fucking believe this is all my shit. And they fucking let me live here all on my own. And no one checks up on me and all this other shit. So, like, I mean, I'm a history buff too. I paid attention to the impeachment stuff because there's been all of 3 presidents in the entire history of this whole fucking country that have been impeached. It's kind of a big fucking deal. So like, if I got a little heated because you're saying it don't matter, it absolutely fucking does matter. There is no president that goes into his presidency going, I don't really give a shit if I get impeached.
Well, of course not.
No.
I mean, that's not what I'm saying either. Well, I made my point about how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it'll be 3 whole fucking presidents in the history of the United States that it happened to. And
I call bullshit on that. I say 4. Like I said, just because Nixon threw the monopoly board in the air and walked the fuck away, you were getting impeached. That was going to happen. I mean, there should be a fucking asterisk there anyway.
Well, right. So you had one that resigned, but it would have absolutely amounted, and he knew it, and that's why he didn't put the country through all the fucking shit. I mean, you could say he tossed the monopoly board.
Well, he was going to get removed too, though,
because he has, he certainly was extremely concerned about his legacy.
Absolutely.
Nixon was way in tune with how he appeared to everybody. So the last thing on earth that guy wanted to do. He was a good example of an impeachment having an effect on somebody. Nixon, it did have an effect on because Nixon let it have an effect on him.
Well, okay.
Nixon, because of his own mentality, did not want that to happen. And now that it was going to happen, the last thing he wanted to do was look like a further shithead by making everybody go through it all.
Do you know what his approval rating was when he left?
I don't even know.
28%.
Right.
28% of people when he left were still full-throated behind the guy who did what he did.
It's a third. Everything works in thirds.
Right. I'm just saying, but so there's still a good portion of people that
There's
were.
A third of people that got Donald Trump elected, a third of people, sat home.
That's because not
the
enough
other
people,
way, and a third of the people sat home.
That's because not enough people vote is the problem.
Right. And it's just always been that way.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter of what numbers throughout the years, it's always a third.
Right.
Support for any war has only been a third. Third don't give a fuck. A third are for it. A third are against it.
Now, I my advice to people.
And it only ebbs and, just a little bit one way or another to tip the scales for, somebody to take action one way or another.
Right. Well, so, coming from, I'll guarantee you right now, like coming from a guy who is not a Trump supporter if you look at my posts and they come up with my memories, I did give him about 3 months of fucking slack where I'm like, hey, give him a fucking chance. Let's see what the hell happens.
Right.
He's a reality TV star. I knew he was a buffoon. I knew the stories of him being a bad businessman. Nobody bankrupts a fucking casino except for this moron. So I was not a fan, but I'm like, all right, he won. Let's give him the fucking reign. Let's see what happens. And then it just all started the Stormy Daniels, oh fuck, this is gonna be a goddamn mess the whole fucking time. And then every time he gets up there, he's saying stuff like, even in the campaign, he's like, the one woman that was running, that was like a CEO or something. He's like, how could you make her president? Look at her face.
Right.
Oh God. And then the thing that obviously set it off was the whole when he did the whole fucking mocking the handicap reporter guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you fucking asshole. You've been dealt a hand of fucking aces your entire fucking life. This guy was dealt a real shitty hand since the day he was born. And you got the audacity to fucking make fun of a guy trying to make himself something and something. So, but back to your Nixon thing, I believe every single person that's ever been president has a certain level of narcissistic. I think, honestly, everybody who's got a really good personality and walks around with confidence. Like, I always thought you were a pretty confident guy. You would come into a room and tell stories and fucking talk and have no problem. Like, if I saw you, there was going to be a story or something and you weren't like a bashful guy. There's a certain level of, I don't call it narcissistic, but you like yourself a little bit, right? So like you feel good about who you are. I think that sort of situation, anyone who's running for president, it's what we feel when you like yourself on steroids.
Well, sure.
It's long gone.
Right.
And then you're living in a world, Donald Trump lives in a world where everyone around him is like, yes, sir. Oh, absolutely, sir. You're the smartest, sir. They're telling him stuff like you're a genius, sir.
Right.
And he believes it. I mean, he won't let us see his grades, but he believes that he's a fucking genius. He can't spell hamburger, but he's a genius. So
come on, I cut a fucking guy a break like that. I get a hamburger. I don't think
one time.
I don't think.
God.
I don't think that's how he thinks
Sean,
to spell it.
Sean, he misspelled his own.
Come on, look.
He misspelled his own name.
Look, ask Lisa Henson and Shawn Henson how terrible I spell on Facebook. Does that make me less of a person?
No. But
do you think I can't spell? Do you think I'm illiterate?
No, but I mean,
okay,
it's Twitter.
I don't think. Right?
It's Twitter. He's doing it on a phone.
Fucking proofread my shit. You know what my phone likes to do right now? We comes out where I use swipe. So instead of all of a sudden, for some reason, we has an R at the end. The has an R at the end. I don't catch every one of them. Am I a fucking buffoon? Am I an idiot because I
the swipe thing? Show me what is that? What do you do?
So instead,
because I've seen it, right?
So instead of tapping, hello.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, so you did it there. I didn't try to spell there.
So do you just put your finger on?
Yeah, and keep going. H. So you start and put your finger on the first letter, and then you just drag to all the letters, and then let go. And there's your word.
Wow.
You had no idea that was a thing.
No. I'm fucking typing it out. I hammer away at it all the time. Never seen that. The only thing that I do, which doesn't work out either, is the voice. Yeah. So I hit the microphone and be like, blah, 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 blah. And then I got to go back and proofread it.
Right.
Because I won't put shit on there that's all fucking misspelled and all jacked up.
Right. I try to proofread, but sometimes, you get, it's 6 a.m. I'm trying to take a crap and get in the shower and go to work.
I'm with you.
So I'm doing my thing. And
Sean, you're also not the president of the United States.
Right. I mean, granted, yes. But would I be shooting, Facebook or tweet messages like he does?
How many assistants do you have?
No, I would not.
How many assistants do you have?
And would I probably make
How many assistants do you have?
And would I probably make sure that I proofread almost every time I said something? Yeah, I would probably be like,
all I'm saying is you wouldn't have to do that if you're the president. You could just be like, hit one button, it goes to your assistant. She proofreads the fucking thing, and then it goes out to the internet to the whole world.
Right.
So he's got the ability to make this thing look better.
Of course.
And he does it.
Right.
But so there's a certain amount of narcissistic people that run for president. I believe everyone that's a narcissist is absolutely cares about their legacy. They care about what they leave behind. Well, so I mean,
and whether somebody cares about it, if you gave me some kind of nickname, if it didn't fucking bother me, I don't fucking care. If everybody that knew me called me by the nickname you call me, and I don't care, then I don't care.
You can be pretty.
If I'm bothered by it, now it's a problem because you put that on me and it bothers me. All right, so this to me is the same thing.
Yeah, if your nickname is Crapper Joe,
if you really give a fuck about how you look to the rest of the world, then being impeached is not a good thing. But in the long run, it means nothing.
Yeah, I disagree. But we can leave it at that. That's fine.
Right.
I would venture to guess that a large percent of people would say that being impeached, seeing there's only been 3 in the history of the whole fucking country, means something.
But I think what you have to understand too is I think a lot of the country of people, when you say impeach, that's the vision in their head. He's walking out of the
that's because
White House with his bags.
That's because they need a civics lesson. They don't understand.
So I think that's what a lot of people imagine when you say, "Oh, the president, is up for impeachment. They're going to vote on an impeachment of the president." I think that's what a lot of America thinks, is that he's going to be walked out of the White House with all his crap.
Yeah, well, like I said, they need a civics lesson.
So
that's not true.
And that's what a lot of people are hoping for. The people who really dislike him, they don't want to just see his forehead stamped.
Then I think they're blinded.
They would love to see him.
I think they're blinded.
Removed.
I think they're blinded by their hatred for the guy. Because I don't want him at any cost. I do not want him removed. I want him I want him impeached because he should be impeached. What he did is impeachable. If what he did wasn't impeachable, nothing is impeachable because he literally, if you look at the impeachment clause in the Constitution, it pretty much addresses what he did.
Right.
Exactly. It's like our real big fear is that a guy will do this, and he fucking did that.
Right.
And then this guy also did it. He did it out in the open. He did it with, "Hey, Russia, if you're listening."
Right. And every the people are defending him. It's like going back to
I think there's going to be a repercussion for that.
What's the definition of is or whatever Bill Clinton said during his impeachment? It's just as silly.
Well, and there was a repercussion for that.
Right.
So that's the repercussion. Bill Clinton did not lose the presidency because being impeached, but the people that stood up and defended him, a lot of those people lost their fucking jobs in Congress because they went back home to their constituents and they said, "Hey, who gives a shit what the fucking definition of is in that sentence? Like, that's bullshit.
Right.
You shouldn't have done that. You're not an honest fucking broker."
Right. But they're all arguing the same thing. What's the definition of did he actually do something impeachable? What's the definition of this?
I'm saying there's going to be repercussions.
Right. But I mean, this is all of it to me is a fucking shit show, and all of politics is
we talked about that.
From the 50s is just gotten to be such a shit show.
Well, like I said, the end of it is a shit show.
When something like this happens, and you got a whole group of people, who the definition of fucking what he did, what is it? How does the article of impeachment define it? And did he? Okay, if that's the definition, is this what he did? Okay, it is or it fucking isn't. Now let's all make up.
Well, they brought in four scholars.
Shit show.
They brought in 4 scholars to have that conversation that you're talking about, right? The second week was the 4 scholars. All 4 scholars agreed that what was said that he did, just one of the scholars who was the Republican brought in witness said that he didn't think that he thought we were moving too fast and he didn't think that it was clearly proven that he did what you're saying. But then a person asked him if he did it. Oh yes, it's impeachable. That's absolutely
right.
So there was no.
So that's what I'm getting at.
There was no cloud.
And with people with clear heads and aren't vying for their place of power, because that's all these fucking dickwads are doing. They're all jockeying for their place in fucking power.
Sure. But anyone that's listening,
we'll drag the whole country through all this shit. Now argue whether or not you just have 4 people who are, supposedly schooled on, what this actually is. And yes, okay, even the one who should be kind of leaning towards, being on his side, and even says yes, if you can actually prove if there was a tape of him doing this.
He didn't say that it wasn't proven. He just said that we should take more time to make this happen. And that the problem
he wanted to see more proof, more concrete proof.
Right.
Not just some guy overheard it.
He just wanted for the country's benefit.
That's all I'm saying. All those little semantics is not what I'm getting at here. I'm just saying that everything is a fucking shit show anymore.
Well,
so the presidency.
I disagree. The beginning of the impeachment thing was not a shit show.
The Republicans turned Obama's presidency into a fucking shit show. Him himself with a lot of things, as far as I'm concerned, that he did was shit show fucking worthy.
What? There's things that I didn't like about Obama. What didn't you like about him?
Still in the Middle East, fighting and fucking all the bombings and whatnot.
The drone attacks and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, there's some things I didn't like too.
Right. So
I didn't like they took so much money from Goldman Sachs in the second run. Like that was upsetting to me. I'm like, listen, I had high hopes that you were going to be this guy that was going to look out for the middle class guy, and you're taking billions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars.
Right. So those are all the kind of things, everybody, is constantly sold a false bill of goods.
Yeah, I think that's everyone see, that was the reason, and I feel exactly what you do, but that was the reason that Sanders was so very appealing to me, because I felt like this is the only honest person.
And it all starts at local government. Nobody pays attention to local government. How many people, around really, how many people do you think that live, 10,000 people in Manteno? Of those 10,000, how many do you think actually have an idea of what goes on in that fucking office every day?
I don't even know who the mayor is.
Village Hall.
I don't even know who the mayor of
Nugent, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
Yeah, Nugent. Exactly. So, you expect people to turn on an hour's worth of fucking news and understand what's going on in the country, and they all know it. They all know we don't know what the fuck is going on, really.
Right.
And that's why other countries lose their fucking shit over it. Look at France. They're rioting again. They're rioting again right now. And they're, well, not quite rioting, but they're on strike. There's like the airports are on strike, the buses, trains, the workers at the Eiffel Tower have all fucking left.
Chinese got their big thing going on right now.
Those are people that pay attention because they have taken to the streets and they've organized. Oh, motherfucker, I can't remember what the hell France is in an uproar about right now. I was just reading it today.
What's it, the yellow coats or whatever?
No, it's not even any of that. I don't remember if it was another gas tax thing that they're all losing their minds about. But I mean, nobody in this country pays that much attention to know, and we certainly do not get in an uproar. Look at Cook County. Look at Illinois. All right, first of all, in a smaller microcosm, look at Cook County. Cook County should be rioting over all the taxes and fees and fines and whatnot for every single thing. And then Illinois, why haven't we marched into the Springfield and drug everybody out by their fucking ear? And
but there's
nobody pays that much attention, and everybody's fat, full, and fucking happy. So nobody's gonna fucking get up and walk away from their job to let's go fucking pitchforks and torches, get all these fucktards out of fucking office, where other countries actually do just that.
I don't think so at all. If you go to like those African countries and stuff like that, the dictator
African countries are a little different. I'm talking places more civilized,
like France,
like Poland and France, that actually take
I don't
to
know
the
that much
streets
about national
and
international.
go to fight for what they believe to be right. And make a stand that the whole world gets to see, and their politicians now know that they're not going to stand for this kind of crap. Our people are not just going to, do it at the voting box.
Sure.
Don't fucking care, because they'll just fill you all full of fucking shit. And your attention span is short, so you're going to forget half of the fucking bullshit if you even knew half the bullshit that this politician did. In their career.
We're never going to know exactly what someone did or what money they took or whatever like that. My advice for people that are on the left is don't rub it into the people that are on the super Trumpster people, because this is not cool as far as that goes, and they can act like it doesn't matter, but I guarantee you that you're going to see a shit show on Facebook with people on the left saying they impeached him, and then there'll be big fights and everything else. Which,
I mean, something literally happens every day for the left to fight with the right and the right to fight with the left. It's fucking stupid.
It is stupid. No,
that's why you noticeably see me not do anything political on social media.
Well, no, it was the reason
because I'm tired of fucking fighting with everybody. It's all subjective. Well, not all, but 90% of what goes on is subjective. You feel that there's no place for fucking billionaires. Yep. I don't feel the same way. Is there a fucking hard, this is, you're right and I'm wrong? No. There's a different of opinion.
But so, okay.
And, go ahead.
My thing is so I like the podcast situation because I can explain out exactly why I don't think a billionaire should exist. And not that, like, I'm not saying that like a guy that makes, that kind of, like, it's hard to like fathom it from a guy that, like, taking a guy, I'm not saying you could take a guy that's got $140 billion like Bezos does, and all of a sudden wave a magic wand and make him not a billionaire. What I'm saying is, I'll lay it out like this.
I get what you were saying about all that. My whole point is that there's just always something to fight about, and very few topics are cut and dry. This is right and wrong. Stabbing somebody in the face, 99% of the times, bad idea, wrong.
Depends.
Right.
Maybe the guy
like I said, 99% of the time.
Maybe he's a pedophile.
Like I said, 99% of the time.
Okay,
that's not
so
a good thing. That's
the
a
one
right
question,
or wrong that's pretty easy.
The one question about the billionaire thing that I had that you didn't answer is why? What positive? What thing besides?
Why does there have to be a positive?
Because why would you have something why do you need to have something?
There's all kinds of negative in the world, man. There's all.
I understand that, but
for there to be a positive, there has to be a negative.
What's on the side of saying there should be a billionaire? I'm going to say that if you took all the billionaires and you had before they became billionaires, not now. This is like a total hypothetical, and you tax them in a way that was like, okay, at $1 million, your tax rate's going to go up 5%. At $4 million, your tax rate's going to go up another 5%. And until you get to the point where it's like, and I'm talking about no loopholes. You're fucking locked into this thing. We do things in this country like when everyone pays into Social Security, it stops being paid into it $124,000. So if you make $124,000, you pay 7% or 6% into Social Security. If you make $248,000, you just paid 3.5% into security because you only paid half.
Right.
Now, explain the logic of that to me besides the fact, and I know how it got there. It got there because wealthy people make the fucking rules in the goddamn country and we got to follow them, which is, I'm calling bullshit on it because I'm saying to you that
because we don't take to the streets and let motherfuckers know we ain't fucking around.
Now
everybody's gotten to know that they can just throw their money around and we're all just gonna, hey man, I've got a house, I got a fucking TV, there's food in my fridge. I don't give a fuck what them jackwads do.
Right. But I'm just taking somebody that makes $248,000 and saying he pays half the rate of someone that makes $124,000. Take it and bring it all the way out to like $1.24 million. Now the guy pays a tenth of what everyone else pays into Social Security. So everyone under $124,000 pays the full 7% of their money into something where this guy he's lucky enough to have been born to the right people, got the right education, got all the right things happen for him. And now he gets this other break. I have a buddy who's a lawyer.
Right. It's no different than I've got a fucking 460 credit score. And I'm going to get this credit card, but it's going to be like 27%.
Yeah.
You've got a 780 fucking credit score.
Yeah, it's better.
And why are you going to charge me more money because I don't have as much money?
No. But that's not have as much money. That's the responsibility. That's a straight look at how do you pay your bills.
Not necessarily.
Your credit?
Yeah, not necessarily.
It's how you pay your bills.
Life happens, man. Life happens.
You can be dealt a bad hand.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying in my scenario,
but you're a credit risk.
I have plenty of money and don't pay my fucking bills.
Right, but you're a credit risk if you have a 460.
Okay, but how are you gonna if you're afraid that somebody can't pay the bill? Why are you gonna charge more money because they can't pay the bill?
Well, they're also not.
Does that make sense?
They're also not going to give you credit.
Because if you're paying the bill,
it's either that or not going to get credit.
Oh, right, exactly. But my point being is,
I'm giving you the reason.
Same scenario.
I'm giving you the reason on their end. I'm giving you the reason on their end. Their end is, I'm going to lend you this money. You're risky. I need more money to lend you this money because you're risky.
But it doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree.
Somebody, right?
I agree. It's like putting handcuffs on a heroin.
That's all I'm saying. I'm making the analogy to your point about Social Security. It's just
but that's totally apples and oranges.
Well,
you're taking a guy and give him a massive break because he's massively lucky.
Right. Not necessarily lucky. Why is it all luck?
I didn't say it was all luck.
Okay, why then he's not massively lucky.
No, he's massively lucky if he makes $1.2 million a year.
He's lucky because he was persistent in what he did.
No,
and he was diligent.
He's
just like diligent in paying his bills.
Most likely he was
the guy
born.
Who's not most likely paying his bills.
Most likely he was born to the right family. Most likely he got a good education.
Not. I mean, look at.
But
I don't mean most likely not. Most likely you can't say most likely because there's a gang of people out there. Elon Musk was not born into a shit ton of money, but he's got a shit ton of money. Bill Gates wasn't born into a shit ton of money, but he made a shit ton of money. Steve Jobs wasn't born into a shit ton of money.
Okay, just
so there's a bunch of people.
Name them all, and then I'll just go. Every single person every single person you just named was born with an extremely, extremely high IQ. They were born with a really great function.
But there's other people with high IQs who maybe don't have, the social or whatever personal skills to put their shit into action and do something. Well, not every
but
genius
the other
can
end
be
of
a
the
millionaire. My cousin was a genius and was playing, Chopin and whatnot on the piano at 5 years old. He's not a fucking millionaire.
But the other end of the lucky of that would be a guy born with Down syndrome.
It's okay, but
are there any? Are there any?
From the point.
Are there any
My
billion?
Is,
are there any billionaire Down syndrome people?
Same with credit. This guy has an ass ton of money and whatnot,
right?
And so he's cut a fucking break.
I'm not arguing with you that I'm not arguing.
It's the same thing as and then it is. It is. It's the same thing.
No. You can be wealthy and still not pay your bills.
Exactly.
No. But no, that's irresponsible.
Right.
But I'm saying you can have money and not pay your bills. You're just being irresponsible.
What I'm saying is
you're also going to, but your credit rating is going to be the same. Wealthy or not.
Generally you have money then. Not always. I guess, people don't have a lot of money with high credit scores.
No, yeah, right. We see them with the real estate stuff. There's people that have great credit scores.
But certainly
but
people with more
income.
money get a lot of perks all the way up and down the line. It's not just with Social Security. There's people that get free things that have a lot of money. They get shit thrown at them for nothing. Just because they're somebody famous or they got a bunch of fucking money.
Okay. So,
here's bottles of champagne. Here's bottles of fucking.
Yeah.
Whatever,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Free meal because you're George Clooney. So
it's just that's the way. The only point I was making in all that is to that extent. Is that generally that's how everything works. If you ain't got shit, you're not getting breaks because you ain't got shit. And if you got shit, you're probably getting a bunch of breaks that you really don't need because you're doing fine.
I'm
agreeing with your point.
I know it's the rabbit season, duck season thing.
Right.
What I'm saying is, with your point. But that's luck. Because you're also falling in. You're George Clooney. You're born with that face. You get to be George Clooney.
That's all luck. Now, somebody who makes a shit ton of money, if you were born and it wasn't handed to you, not many people are complete fucking idiots.
Most of them it's handed to.
Whatever the case is. But that's
right. I'm just saying
it's not everybody.
We've made a country that's a bunch of trust fund babies.
Again, very blanketing. Not everybody that has a shit ton of money.
Not everybody. No, but we love to cue on these stories about people who did make it. They're great stories to listen to, right? Because they're like, holy shit, he went from nothing to having something. So those are terrific stories. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure most billionaires. Donald Trump was given a small loan of like $400 million from his father. Right. I'm just saying, like, he didn't make anything of himself.
I don't know the money.
Right. But there was a Washington Post thing that came out that like added up everything that he was given through all the bailouts that his dad did. It was like $400 million. So like, if you were given $400 million, chances are things would have worked out really fucking well.
Right.
Because you had $400 million fucking handed to you. Right. Same with me. So I'm just saying that.
But not always. Look at Walgreens family that owned Walgreens. The old man made a huge fucking business out of it, and the kids turned out to be fucking turds. They were handed a shit ton of money and ran themselves fucking broke and the company into the dirt. And it took other people to buy Walgreens to turn it around and get it to where it is now.
Yeah, but those kids probably they don't have money like they would have had, but
I don't know. I have no idea if they're fucking dead ass broke or dead. I think one of them died or something.
Right, not saying you could fuck it up.
They were all fucked up on drugs. I mean, so it's not all about luck. Some of it's about smarts. You get handed a shit ton of money and you're smart enough. Like my first wife's brother, my first wife, her family had money. And her older brother, took all the money that his father gave him throughout the years and learned how to play the stock market. So by the time I met her, he was probably my age now or younger, 43 or something. And he didn't have to work. He was independently wealthy because he invested everything and learned how to play the stock market. So he played it smart. My ex-wife was given probably the same fat check at Christmas time, just enough to not have to pay taxes on and whatnot.
Yeah,
and didn't make wise choices with it. And she was not independently wealthy.
Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever see The Explained? Check that out. There's one that explains billionaires, and Mark Cuban's on there. And the question is, what is the downside to being a billionaire? What's the bad part about being a billionaire? And he looks at him and goes, what's the bad part about being a billionaire? He goes, absolutely fucking nothing. And they explain that, okay, so like if a guy has $1,000, right, it's very hard to take $1,000 and turn it into $1,100, right? $1,000, to make it $1,100. Mm-hmm. They say that it's not only easy, but it's inevitable that if you had $100 million, it'll be $110 million.
Right, because it only takes one smart decision.
No, it's not a decision. Nope, it's not even. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Is what I'm saying to you.
So how does that? How much money did you say?
100 million.
All right, here's my 100 million. Instead of here, I do nothing. How does that grow into anything other than 100 million?
Just
sitting on my 100 million is sitting on a coffee table.
Right. That's not what it means.
All right, so it's not inevitable. You have to do something with it. Yeah, you have to physically take that $100,000.
No.
Even if you go put it into a savings account that makes 1%.
Yep.
You made a smart decision to put it in that account, making 1%. Even if you had options, it's still a stupid decision. You made a decision and it made more money. That's my point.
But that's a stupid decision. It still made money.
But it's not inevitable for this money to make money out on its own.
That's about the dumbest decision you could make, and you still made $1 million.
I'm not saying right. Okay, right.
Watch that series because they'll explain to you that like
you can make a stupid decision and make the money, but you have to make some kind of choice. It's still not stupid. It's only stupid to you because you think you're an idiot because you didn't put it somewhere to make more money.
Well, but there's still bad decisions and good decisions.
I can take you all the way back to the beginning of our conversation and say, I'm not that greedy. I just don't want to have $100 million laying around. So I put it in this savings account with 1% interest bearing just because I can give a fuck.
But you still made $1 million.
This is more money than I'll ever fucking spend.
But you still made $1 million.
But it's not a stupid decision. Well, it's in your view because that's where the angle
if you're talking about
from. In my view, I don't have $100 million laying on my fucking kitchen table anymore. That's pretty fucking smart.
You just made it. But you said it was a smart decision. I said it's a stupid decision because you could make 8% on your money pretty safely when you have that money. Like they explained it in there. So, and they also explained that, listen, when you have $100 million, you've got access to people that would help you make like 20% on that money.
Because it's a cut on them.
Well, because
not because they want to help you watch you make a bunch of money with nothing in it for them.
No, because you're friends with people that are CEOs of companies.
So there's always something.
Yes,
for somebody else.
Right. But I'm saying that there's an inside.
It's not like this magically just happens because there's that money there. It's somebody made that person. So you made a choice to not just put it in a little account, you go do something else with it. Now all these other people go, hey, I can help you with this end of the money, and I can help you with that end of the money.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is if you went to Harvard and you were an average student, but you were a terrific personality and you met a whole mess of people and made a bunch of connections at Harvard, and you were a guy that didn't really have any money, you got there just on, just by the skin of your teeth, you got into Harvard, but the connections you made at Harvard would make you millions and millions of dollars because you're surrounding yourself by a bunch of boats that are raised way high.
It can, but you still have to make good choices. You can have all those. I know people with fucking money. I know people with businesses. I know people with dumb amounts of money. I'm not seeing any of it. If I figured out how I could be of benefit to that person, okay.
What I'm saying to you is if you lived in a world where everybody in your sphere was worth tens and 20s and hundreds and billions of dollars, that opportunity would present itself in a different way
than it does. Sure.
Well, I'm just saying, someone could say, hey, man, you made this brisket. It's fucking awesome. I'm going to fucking fund this whole thing. You're just going to make all these fucking – so you can't have that happen unless you're around a guy who's got that kind of coin to throw around. That's what I'm saying. And when you have $100 million, you're immediately in another class of people.
Well, of course.
Right. So that's what they're saying in there. And they're also saying that's why they're saying it's inevitable. And that these are people that are financial people that say, granted, you have to put it somewhere. We understand that. But they're saying that if you had $1,000, the same people wouldn't let you put that money. You couldn't buy into Bernie Madoff's fund with $1,000.
Right,
but with $100 million, you can.
Right. Of course.
So that's what I'm saying is the opportunities are different when you have that versus when you don't have that.
Right. And that's, an obvious thing, of course.
Okay.
Nobody gives a shit about you if you got nothing.
Well, I mean, guys like me and you do. I care about a guy that works hard and stuff like that.
Somebody who can, chances are somebody can help you out. There are those few. Khalil Mack, whatever, he paid off 300 people's layaway or something.
Yeah, saw that. Right. Saw that. Right.
They didn't even know. They weren't even in this.
And that was lucky for them.
Just fucking happened.
Sure. No, that was a great thing that he did and everything else. The sports athlete guy, those are almost like normal people who run into a bunch of money. what we're talking about is the pipeline that is Yale and Princeton and Harvard, all these kids that's where they were going from the day they were born, because they were born with the silver spoon in their mouth. Those are the people that, like, they're going to inherit $200 million when they're like, we know people that have, the parents are maybe going to leave a couple $1 million to their 3 kids. So everyone's going to get $1 million or whatever like that. Listen, I don't even the estate tax that's out there doesn't affect those people. So you're going to get $1 million on your parents die. That's a fucking lot of money, right? To me and you. But the estate tax doesn't even kick in until $10 million. But the guy that's president, the tax bill, they're trying to get rid of the estate tax. Why would anybody that isn't worth tens of millions? So that the other way that taxes work. So say your parents have $15 million and they're going to leave it all to you. You're going to get $15 million. You're only going to get the inheritance tax on 5 of that million.
Right.
So a portion of that 5 million goes back into a system that produced $15 million that you got as a windfall profit. I don't understand why anyone is against that, because they feel like that was my family's money. That was you were born to the Lucky Sperm Club. You were born here. Now, you weren't born in Afghanistan with no fucking feet. You were born, in Frankfurt with parents that had fucking all this money. To say that you got to give some portion of a very top part of that money back to fund the schools and
right.
I don't have a problem with that. Like that to me is completely logical.
Right.
You're still going to start off in life with $10 million. That's fucking more than most people make in a lifetime.
Sure, right.
So but I see people that make $40,000 a year that throw a big fit about that. And those are the angles.
I don't understand it either. Why do you care so much? Yeah, okay, maybe you can make a shit ton of money, but do you really feel like you shouldn't contribute back to society? The road you drive on, you shouldn't have to pay any tax to fix the fucking road or hope the fucking bridge over the
right. But Jeff Bezos doesn't just drive on the road. Jeff Bezos has 10,000 trucks on the road.
And I see what you're saying.
So he should pay way more, not way less.
Right. And I'm not saying they should get away with not paying taxes. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be taxed on, an inheritance and whatnot. But I don't think a certain number in, money that you make, you shouldn't exist.
Well,
but again,
what I said was I would tax it in a way that they would be
the same way
almost impossible to exist.
The same way that you teach morals, the vast majority of people, in this country and on the planet act the way they do on a daily basis because that's how you were taught.
Okay, what if I guess
because I could get away with acting. I could get away with acting like all kinds of fucking ways that I would probably never get caught or getting in trouble too. So it's not just about going to jail and whatnot. It's about what's the right fucking thing.
All right.
And I would like to see that that the culture is such that we raise all of our kids that, hey, if you ever come into shit, you fucking help people to do well. You run a fucking business, you should run your business and don't have more employees than you can afford to pay. And if you're making an ass ton of money, you bring them along up with you. You bring them on up with you, man. Don't sit on millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that you can't spend and leave people making $10 an hour. If you're making, tens of millions of dollars a year because somebody making $10 an hour,
yeah,
that's ridiculous to me.
Okay, so
why not go ahead and pay that person? Well, I don't care if they're flipping fucking burgers.
Okay, so listen to what you said.
Pay them $50 an hour to make fucking burgers if you're making billions of dollars.
Listen to what you said about like there not being a number. I feel like I changed my position a little bit. Let me explain how I would change it. Like I agree with you, but I would change it in a way that. There's 607 billionaires in the country. I would make it a progressive tax plan that, holy shit, if there was one billionaire, that'd be fucking really hard to get to. And if he makes it, that's fine by me. But he's taxed in a way that, like, by the time he gets up to making, $200 million a year.
Right. The state he lives in should have no fucking
no poverty,
bridge,
all this stuff.
Right.
But the thing that I would also do is the inheritance tax to be so progressive that fine, the guy got to be 80 years old and he made $1 billion and he had $1 billion to his name. Then when he died and cut it up for 4 ways for his kids, they're not billionaires because most of that money went back into the state again. Because I don't feel like, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't end up with 30, 40, $50 million to start with. Now, I made all of my money because I could read and write from public schools, but I did the work to read and write from public schools, same as you, right? Jeff Bezos makes his money because all of his employees went to public school and they can read and write.
Right.
So I think he should pay more into the public schools. And there shouldn't be a problem at the public schools because Jeff Bezos exists.
Right.
So that should be.
I do agree with that.
Right. Okay.
I do agree
but so
with
I
that.
agree with you too that there should be a way for a guy to get there. I also feel like wealthy people, they want that number so bad. The harder you make it for them, the harder they'll fucking work to try and get to that goddamn number.
And that may be absolutely true.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know.
The competitive nature of someone like that, sure.
Right. Just because the number is so important.
Make 11 billion. All right, I'll make my 11 billion, and you can get whatever you want out of it.
Right.
And then I'll get my 11 billion. Still don't fucking care.
Right. So,
but I mean, a lot of things could be alleviated, like I said, with a change in mentality. If more business people had the mentality that, I would love to see everybody that works under me, just like you said, all that money, you can't even fucking begin to imagine how to fucking spend it in your lifetime. So really, what the fuck would be the big deal if we don't need to make him pay for free healthcare for the whole country, but what's wrong with every business you own, you pay for all of your employees' healthcare. Now, if everybody did shit like that,
for me,
I
think it creates more entrepreneurs, like more people. What I would like to see is if you took a billionaire, I would like to see that billionaire gone and 1,000 people with $1 million. For the economy, that's better, right? Because
of course,
if you make 100,000,
which is something I never understand why Congress, Senate, everybody, fucking politics doesn't understand that if your angle is greed and money and that's what you want, power, you could a few swipes of a few pens. And the whole country could be vastly different to where that is more the case. Not that, everybody's millionaires, but everybody could live comfortably. Like as you see the fucking memes where somebody's got so much money and that's an X amount of dollars for every person on the fucking planet.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, and we're only talking about in this country because there's extreme poverty in other countries. I mean, Africa and stuff like that. Like Gates is there trying to find out how to get it so that people's aren't shitting all on top of each other and fucking getting all these diseases because their shit's all right there and everything else. So, I mean, we don't have those kind of problems in this country. We're lucky we're not born to that situation. But so, and that, like I said, we're the wealthiest country on the planet. The healthcare thing, I'm firmly against. I think it creates more entrepreneurs. More people will be free to leave the business that they're working for and open their own business if your healthcare wasn't attached to your job.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, I know guys that are very good tradesmen.
If I didn't have to worry about paying 100 and, well, now it's gone down actually just from changing my plan, but without having to pay $107 a week for health insurance for me and my kids, I probably would have quit my job and I'd be barbecuing as much as I fucking could.
And you would be better at it because you would be doing it more.
I'm obligated to have insurance. I could even fucking take the fucking gamble that nobody gets fucking deathly ill until I make a shit ton of money to where I can pay some fucking bills.
Right.
When that happens.
I don't want you to take that gamble. I don't want you to take that gamble either because if you got in a car wreck and died, your daughter would be in dire straits as far as that goes.
Right.
So I feel that it's and we're the only first world country that doesn't do it this way. It's fucking insane the way that we do it. But I mean, I have friends in Canada that would look at us and go, "What the fuck's wrong with you? You fucking nuts."
Right.
So
and it's all this crap that fucking gets it.
Well,
that's why we're at where we're at.
It's
that's
greed.
why it's not. Well, okay, it's greed, but you have. I mean, it's not just that people
and stupidity.
It's not just that people have like a good reason why we shouldn't have free healthcare. It's just why should you get anything for free? That's their only fucking argument.
Well, yeah, right.
Why does somebody else have to work to give you something?
Right, but the counter to that argument.
We're all working, and it's kind of,
the counter to that argument is aircraft carriers and jets. Those aren't free, but we get those. I would rather that you spend the money on healthcare than more aircraft carriers. Can you stop sending our young men over to some country and bombing another country? All you're doing is creating more terrorists anyway.
More hate.
Stop. Right. More hate. We're disgusted with people hate us on the rest of the planet because we're doing this. I explained it with my sons. If another country came here, blew up my house, and killed me, my sons would spend the rest of their life going, I hate them motherfuckers from whoever the fuck came over here.
That's going to last generations.
Right. Well, they might.
Not just your sons. It's probably going to be their sons too.
Right. Well,
I didn't even get to know my grandfather because.
Now we're back to legacy. Right. And I live my life that way because I don't believe that there's an eternal life after death, but I do believe that my kids can talk to their kids and their kids can talk to their kids about me. And I get to be still alive in a way. Right. So that's my legacy. And I'm not even that big of a narcissist. But hey, I don't want to, we've already got what do we do? Almost three fucking hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah, pretty good. And I listen, it got heated and stuff like that, but I enjoyed that. It's fine by me to get heated. I think if I'm going to try and do things on Wednesday night where it gets heated and everything else, come back. You live 10 minutes away and we'll do it again. But maybe we'll try and make it, like I said, I was trying to make it a little more structured where we don't talk over each other because we did a little bit of that too. Where it was a little hard to get. I'm sure someone listening was like, well, what the fuck's going on? There's two guys fighting. In the podcast, please, if you're watching, if you've been watching, I should do it more often during the podcast. I'm sure people tune in and tune out and everything else. But there's two people watching right now. Somebody gave it a thumbs up. Well, shit, it's fucking 10:15.
I have to pay.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I can get some subscribers. So if you would, if you're one of the two people watching, click the red subscribe button down below. And, it doesn't do anything. It just lets me know that someone wants to see two guys fighting with each other about stuff that doesn't really matter to either of us. I want it to matter to people. I mean, my main angle on all the economic stuff is, listen, I want guys that are kids of our, to have a better opportunity. I want them to, I don't want my kids to come out of college, 4-year college, and have $120,000 in debt.
Ridiculous.
And it really doesn't do anything for anyone else either. No. Listen, I'm a real estate broker. I can't sell a house to a guy that's got $120,000 in debt, no matter what fucking job he's got, because he can't get the loan. So thanks. I appreciate you coming out. And I appreciate whoever's listening.
Thanks for being there.
Yeah. Thanks, man. We'll shut it down. Oh.